Anybody know where the plug is for my computer?
One in the big one. Must be in the truck or in the car.
I don't get it. I don't know where the heck my
Well, do you need it? That's why I'm asking. I'm not
computer plug is. Well, yeah. For now, I'll plug it into here. And that way, when we'll just switch later. Needs a charge.
You want to wait because it's not there. Oh my. Mm. It's doing the same things too. It's just not getting it. Flickering, huh? Yeah.
Oh, it's because it's not running right now. Okay.
Well, mine is fully charged. If we need to switch soon.
Well, I better unplug it.
Yeah.
Whoever starts it, make sure it's plugged in.
Okay, so I started the truck and I plugged in the cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, we already see a picture of you. Valentina, Freddy,
Oh,
Dezirae, and
okay.
Harold.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes, we are.
I will. Blah 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 blah.
So again, thank you everyone for your patience. Since we don't have electricity, so like a juggling work of trying to get everything settled, it takes longer than usual. So again, thank you for your patience. Entonces, gracias de nuevo por su paciencia. Siempre ahora que no tenemos electricidad, siempre es todo un asunto de hacer malabares para que todo esté listo, entonces toma más tiempo. Gracias por su espera.
It's just working.
Did you take Kinesia?
Yeah, this morning I did.
Okay, oh, this line ain't working. This damn light shut off. Oh, my goodness. What are you doing? Going out of order. What are you doing? Oh, no, daddy, why joke? So I don't see you, signori. Gazit Dezirae, you just how we know you on budget's going to start, no, not that, honey. Retin uradu, grunga gari agesum. Yet the sort of as a tanka garako, dana, yet in the start, you honzagi, dana gueguskat, neganungue. Retin uradu, so here, and it couldn't heads that goes, ne, guels in Niganat, the girls on a gueg of quadri and not the super. Retin uradu, yet the sort of gun, not the headstone, gonna go real that the Hawakwe. Dam dawe aron hetseren, because it's stasseren, ganungwe. Dam dawe aron hetseren, asa niga dargen, ganyanga haga, radinato, ranata roni, dana riskarevage. Dam dawe aron hetseren, a guego on a goro, ganyana rasa da goa nescana, dano ori wheel, gari shunsera, dana gazet stasseren. Dam dawe aron hetseren, Okay, so as you know, every time we get together for a meeting, council, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out first. This is where we identify and give thanks to the things in creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. So we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation, that when you look into the nighttime sky, you're not looking into cold, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead, you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to our Grandmother Moon. It is she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, where you have grown up from our Mother Earth, or what you imagine divides us. We all come from the same mother, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations, all together. We are not a human species. We are not a dog species or a cat or a fish or a tree species. We are a planetary species. We are one entity. This whole Mother Earth is one entity. Just like within you, you have trillions of cells, you have many different aspects of yourself, different parts, but yet you're not going to say that this is your whatever, this is your arm, left arm has a separate identity from your right arm, or your left leg from your right leg. No, within the human body, this is one being, as it is upon our Mother Earth, one being.
Entonces, como siempre, cuando empezamos, hacemos la apertura, que es el Honda Gariwadekwa, las palabras de agradecimiento a todo aquello que ha estado ahí antes de nosotros, que nos ha dado la vida y que continúa dándonos nuestro sustento. Y empezamos agradeciendo a la mujer cielo. Cuando vemos en la noche el cielo lleno de estrellas, no observamos un cuerpo vacío y sin vida, sino el cuerpo vibrante, viviente de ella, que nos da nuestro espíritu. También agradecemos a nuestra abuelita Luna, que es el corazón palpitante de nuestra madre tierra. Es ella quien nos ha dado nuestras aguas y nos las regula. Entonces le agradecemos por nuestra sangre. También agradecemos a nuestra mami tierra, que es nuestra mamá de todas, de todos. Poco importa qué color, división, raza queramos creer que venimos. Tenemos la tendencia a pensar que está la especie de los perros y está la especie de los gatos y la especie de las tortugas, pero toda esa diversidad de vida es una sola que viene del cuerpo de nuestra madre tierra. Entonces le agradecemos por la diversidad de los cuerpos que nos da, que nos hace ser parte de una sola familia, no solamente humana, sino de una familia viviente.
Upon our Mother Earth, we give thanks to all the women from the newest born baby girl to the eldest grandmother, as they are the life givers, as they bring life into the world. This is not only when we are talking, we are speaking, or we think of only humans, but we are speaking of the life givers, the mothers in all strains of life, that we give thanks to them for in this world, they give us purpose and direction.
Y sobre nuestra madre tierra le damos gracias a todas las dadoras de vida, desde la más pequeñita recién nacida hasta la más ancianita de las abuelitas. Y de nuevo tenemos tendencia a pensar solamente en las humanas, pero agradecemos a todas las dadoras de vida de todas las especies que perpetúan la vida de nuestra madre tierra.
We give thanks to the energy, the power that flows between all things, that connects you to the trees, to all the living things within the earth, to everything upon the earth, to everything above the earth, right into the sky world, that everything that is all powered by one source, by one spirit, Sky Woman spirit.
Y le damos las gracias a todo lo que existe en la tierra, que a la base es un tejido femenino dadora de vida. Es ella quien va a perpetuarse en todo lo que se encuentra abajo de la tierra, lo que va a salir de la tierra, lo que se encuentra flotando. Y esta perpetuidad de la vida se llama saoyera en la lengua gañanga.
From there, we give our thanks to where were we now? What did we just mention?
Saoyera.
So here, okay, to man, I'm losing track here of what oh yeah, okay. We give our thanks to all the waters and all the medicines and all the shapes and forms they come in, and this is to remind ourselves that we are made of 100% water, and so we are the diversity, the medicine of Sky Woman.
Y después le damos las gracias a todas las aguas y todas las medicinas en todas sus formas y manifestaciones, porque sabemos que ella es la que nos da la medicina, la mujer cielo. Estamos constituidos a 100% de agua, entonces nosotros también somos medicina para todo.
We give our thanks to our ancestors that carried the good mind, and we ask them to help us to return our mothers back to their natural seat of authority. This means that everything in the world, the way that it is right now, is a corruption. So it means that we have to return all things back into a peaceful direction, back under the control of our mothers.
Y le damos las gracias al buen espíritu de nuestros ancestros y les pedimos que nos ayuden a hacer que todo vuelva a su orden correcto, porque hoy todo se encuentra invertido, entonces todo se encuentra absorbido por la corrupción. Pero cuando logramos salir de eso, podemos hacer que nuestras madres puedan volver a su sitio de autoridad que les corresponde, para que puedan volver a manejar a la gente, a los pueblos, como se debe.
Okay, we're gonna stop right there. There's a disorder here today.
Y vamos a pararnos ahí porque hay un desorden el día de hoy.
Things were done out of order here this morning. First time it was ever done this way, and we're gonna set this back into order.
Y las cosas fueron hechas en desorden aquí, entonces es la primera vez que esto ocurre, entonces vamos a ponerlo en orden.
Do you ever see a dog when they come up to you, or maybe they'll come to where humans are, and they'll come and maybe sit by you, but they'll look in the space and they'll move around like this, for them getting comfortable until they sit right in the very spot where they were in the first place.
¿Les ha tocado observar cómo un perro va a acercarse a ustedes, pero antes de sentarse va a darle la vuelta al lugar en el que se quiere sentar hasta que se va a sentar en el mismo lugar en el que se sentó para empezar?
Well, this is the same way, like within your house, wherever you place all your furniture and all your things, you know, that you have a certain, what they call feng shui, a way that it feels good, the way that you know that it's supposed to be.
Es así como en su casa ustedes ponen sus cosas de una forma en la que ustedes se sienten cómodos, y es lo que incluso se le llama el feng shui. Las cosas deben de ser así.
So the feeling and the order, the structure of things is crucial.
Entonces el orden en la estructura de las cosas es fundamental.
We have some important guests with us today, and I'll give reference to her, Valentina, as a midwife. I could imagine that for her, like when she's going to assist in the birth, that everything has to be perfect for her in her way, the way that it is, you know, the structure, the order of the way that that is done, that for her, it's got to be in that way in order for the energy to flow properly.
Y por ejemplo, tenemos invitados especiales el día de hoy. Con nosotros se encuentra Valentina, que es una partera. Entonces entiendo que para ella el orden de las cosas, cómo va a darse el flujo de los eventos es muy importante.
Anyways, as you all know, that when things are not in that way, when things are done out of order, then this sets you like it knocks your feng shui off.
Y como saben, cuando las cosas son hechas fuera del orden, esto les va a sacar de su feng shui.
Anyway, so before we go any further, we're going to correct this. We're going to reverse the out of orderness that happened.
Entonces, antes de continuar, vamos a revertir esta sensación de estar fuera del orden.
And the out of orderness that happened took place was between Edith and myself here, the structure, the way that things begin.
Y esta cuestión fuera del orden empezó aquí entre Edith y yo en la forma de la estructura de cómo deben de ser las cosas.
So this is an example to anyone that if things are out of order for you, then you don't continue. You get that into order, because if you continue, let's say in your day, the first step that you do, if it's on the wrong trajectory, then everything else in your day is going to be that way also.
Y entonces es un ejemplo para saber que cuando hay algo fuera de orden no pueden continuar, tienen que pararse y corregirlo, porque si no el resto del día va a estar fuera del orden.
So you're in a hurry, you're trying to get out of the house in the morning, go to your, I don't know, take your bus or jump in rush hour traffic. If you feel that there is something that is disrupted or out of order, don't continue. Take the time out to step back for a minute and to reverse that, so that you put your day, your own personal feng shui, if you will, that you put this in order.
Entonces, si están corriendo en la mañana, apurándose para agarrar el autobús y de repente hay algo que les dice que las cosas no están bien, deténganse y tómense el tiempo para poder traer de vuelta ese feng shui.
So here, what the disorder is the medicine, the order of the medicine.
Y aquí el desorden que ocurrió fue el orden de la medicina.
So we're going to correct this right now.
Entonces lo vamos a corregir ahorita.
So since this was like a misstructuring or misorder between Edith and myself, then it's between Edith and myself where it's correct.
Puesto que fue algo que ocurrió entre Edith y yo, tiene que ser corregido entre ella y yo.
So let's do it.
Entonces hagámoslo.
So now we send this back around.
Entonces ahora enviamos esto.
This is a very short restructuring or putting things into order. It only takes a minute to do something like this.
Y esto es algo bien pequeñito para poder volver a poner las cosas en orden. Nada más toma un momentito.
So this should be example to everyone that, again, if you know that you're in a rush in the morning and you did something out of order and it knocks you off, knocks you out of balance, you know, like even your order of thought, as you've seen clearly, even in the opening, I done it all in Ganyangeha, but then in English, when I had to translate it, the order, everything was out of order.
Entonces, cuando hay algo pequeñito que nos saca del orden, por ejemplo, se dieron cuenta, hice mi apertura en Gañangaja, pero cuando le iba a traducir en inglés era como que todo estaba volteado.
So if this happens to you, don't overlook such a thing.
Y si esto les ocurre, pues no lo hagan así como que, ay, no lo vieron.
Take the time to put your things in order.
Tómense el tiempo de ordenar sus asuntos.
Again, like imagine if it was Valentina and she's going to assist in a birth.
De nuevo, si fuera Valentina y ella es la que va a ayudar en un parto.
let's say when she got up something, she put on her left shoe before she put on her right one.
Digamos que primero se pone su zapato izquierdo en lugar de ponerse primero el derecho.
You never know, things like this, what is basically a muscle memory to you, that when those muscle memories are disrupted, then afterwards, which isn't muscle, but which is in the realm of thought, is affected.
No se sabe que cuando algo es afectado en la forma en que los músculos están acostumbrados a actuar, después no se va a sentir en los músculos, sino que va a ser afectado en la mente.
Now, this applies to everything.
Y esto aplica para todo.
Number one thing you should apply it to is if you are in a relationship.
Y lo primero a lo que lo tendrían que ajustar es si está en una relación.
So of course, with two people, then structure or order is crucial, because then you are complementing each other.
Y por supuesto que una relación, bueno, se trata de complementarse el uno al otro, entonces hay una estructura.
And so if this is important for an individual, then it's important for two people who are engaged in whatever level of relationship.
Y si esto ocurre, es importante para un individuo, es importante para las dos personas, es importante para la relación, sea la que sea dicha relación.
And therefore, it becomes important within your family, within your clan, within your community, within your nation, and your nation within the world.
Y entonces se vuelve importante dentro de su familia, de su clan, de su comunidad, de su nación y por lo tanto en el mundo.
So we're talking about identifying a balance that you can't actually see. There's no scale there, like to say there's 10 pounds on this side, too heavy, and I got to add something to this side. It's not that kind of scale. It's something that you feel, that you sense. It's in the realm of our sixth sense.
Entonces estamos hablando de un equilibrio y no es así como que ay, lo van a ver en una balanza, sino que es algo que no se ve, que está al nivel del sexto sentido.
So this is something that should be welcomed, not avoided. It should be something that, like we said, you take the time to step back and take 2 minutes to correct whatever, to put it in order, whatever might have been out of order.
Y entonces esto tendría que ser así en el sentido de que se tiene que tomar el tiempo para corregirlo, para salir del desorden y volver al orden.
If you do this and then the next person does this, then by the time that the two of you meet up in the day, then you will be meshing properly. You know, one person won't have this thing in their mind that they're a little bit out of order or whatever, and therefore maybe clash a little bit. You know, like if you had to put your fingers together to mesh proper, it'd be the equivalent of maybe these two fingers touching, preventing a proper meshing.
Porque si no lo hacen, es decir, saben que tienen que hacerle así a sus manos, a lo mejor va a haber algo que va a impedir que dos dedos se abran y no va a entrar la fusión adecuada.
Within the Five Nations Longhouse Confederacy, to establish the great law of peace, where our mothers are the authority within the nations, where they are the first and final word, it is all based on the men, the life protectors, managing our relationship to the life givers, so that it is entirely, completely complementary.
Dentro de la Casa Larga de las 5 Naciones, todo depende de cómo los hombres van a ponerse en orden dentro del equilibrio hacia y con las mujeres.
And let's say today that men might not understand this, and science sure as hell won't understand it, but it's something that you have to experience, something that you have to live with your mother, with your sister, with your aunt, your grandmother, with your girlfriend, with your daughter, your niece. It's something that every male has to manage. All of these relationships in all these areas with the life givers, this is like being in the brain, a single neuron, having to have a perfect relationship with all the other neurons around it.
Y entonces tal vez esto no sea comprendido, pero si hacemos el paralelo con nuestro cerebro, una neurona tiene que estar en perfecta armonía con su relación con las neuronas cercanas para que ellas también puedan enviar el mensaje hacia las otras neuronas y la comunicación pueda darse de forma adecuada.
And so in this fashion, this is how all the people of Turtle Island from north to south have arrived at the great law of peace.
Y es de esta forma exactamente que todos los pueblos originarios de la isla de la Tortuga, que es este hemisferio, los pueblos llegaron a la paz.
Now, some nations, some people never heard the term great law of peace.
Y algunas naciones, algunas personas no han escuchado el término la gran ley de la paz.
But when you hear the words great law of peace, you can comprehend, to a certain degree what it means.
Pero cuando se oyen las palabras, se puede entender hasta cierta medida lo que significa.
And so all the peoples from north to south, east to west, everybody was living the great law of peace. Everyone was living matrilineal, was living a balance where the males were complementary to the primary, to the life givers.
Y todos los pueblos vivían de esta forma en la que los hombres estaban ajustados para vivir en equilibrio con las dadoras de vida.
And therefore, let's say when I'll give this example. I know that some people aren't going to like this example. I know that Edith isn't going to like this example. But I use the example of firing a gun, shooting a gun at something. You're pointing from here, let's say a quarter mile away to hit your target. You know that a trajectory of just the difference between the vision of what your left eye and your right eye sees, you know that if your left eye is pointing at that thing, your right eye is looking elsewhere. So you're not going to hit that trajectory. The right eye must be brought into balance with the left eye so that there is a perfect common trajectory that isn't favoring one side or the other.
A Edith no le va a gustar este ejemplo y sé que a otras personas tampoco les va a gustar ese ejemplo. Entonces es como cuando vas a disparar una pistola, pues tienes que asegurarte que ambos de tus ojos estén listos para poder entrar en la mira, porque si nada más utilizas un ojo, a lo mejor eso va a hacer que no se pueda llegar al punto exacto en el que quieres llegar.
So Edith just says that's why she says that's why you always shoot arrows. You're just using one eye, or if you're shooting a gun, or if you're whatever lining up something, you're playing pool, you're using one eye.
Y entonces dice Vida, lo mejor es por eso que para disparar una flecha siempre se utiliza, o sea, se cierra un ojo. Y Stuart dice también para jugar, por ejemplo, billar, se cierra un ojo.
We have to think of what this means internally.
Entonces hay que reflexionar en qué significa eso a nivel interno.
Well, you have the duality of your two eyes. Basically, one represents life giver, one represents life protector. Now, I won't say this one is left or right, but just to know, there's two, one represents each.
Fundamentalmente tenemos dos ojos y uno representa la dadora de vida y el otro el protector de vida. No voy a decir cuál es cuál, pero ese es el paralelo.
So let's imagine that each eye has a personality all of its own, an identity all of its own, and the two of them have to communicate to decide, okay, we're going to look at this right now.
Entonces, imagínense que cada ojo tiene su identidad en sí y tienen que comunicarse para decir, ok, vamos a observar este punto.
So if I'm going to shoot my arrow, internally, my two eyes, something is deciding I'm going to close, for me, I'm going to close my left eye and I'm going to aim with my right eye.
Entonces, a nivel interno, yo tengo que decidir, voy a cerrar el ojo izquierdo para observar con mi ojo derecho hacia dónde voy a apuntar la flecha.
If there was, again, an identity individual in the two eyes and they had to communicate, what would be going on there? How do we arrive at closing one eye and just using the other eye? What does that mean? What does it imply internally between the two?
Entonces, de nuevo, si hablamos de esta comunicación entre estas dos entidades, si uno tiene que cerrar un ojo y el otro tiene que estar abierto, ¿qué implica? ¿Cómo ocurre esa dinámica?
Is there anybody that wants to identify that? What would be the process between the two?
¿Hay alguien que quisiera decir cuál sería el proceso entre ambos?
Deliberation.
What?
Deliberation.
Deliberation.
La deliberación.
Yeah. This would mean that the one eye that's closing is giving power to the other eye.
Esto significa que el ojo que se está cerrando le está dando el poder al otro ojo.
It's the equivalent of saying, okay, you go ahead and set our trajectory and I'll come along with you.
Es el equivalente de decir, ok, tú estableces la trayectoria y yo voy a seguirla.
Okay, so from that understanding, this is the perspective of all the people of Turtle Island.
Y a partir de esa perspectiva, se trata de la perspectiva de toda la gente de la isla de la Tortuga.
There is the duality of, yes, we have mothers and yes, we have fathers.
Hay la dualidad de que sí tenemos madres y también tenemos padres.
In our trajectory in life,
En nuestra trayectoria en la vida,
the male closes their eye and gives the power and authority to the female to set our trajectory. This is the direction we are going. And the man says, go ahead, you set the direction. I'm going to follow you.
el hombre cierra su ojo y le permite a la dadora de vida decir cuál es la trayectoria que se va a decir y él le dice, adelante, yo te voy a seguir.
Now, of course, for those, let's say, skeptical minds or whatever, who just want to think negative, of course, the men are not just blindly following the women.
Y por supuesto, para quienes quieren ser escépticos en esta afirmación, bueno, obviamente los hombres no van a seguir ciegamente a las mujeres.
This is why it is identified that each nation, each set of eyes, all upon our Mother Earth, in each nation, that they all function within this structure, within this order. The males identify great law of peace. So it's great law of peace under which we are following the mothers, the life givers.
Y es por eso que van a ser los hombres los que van a identificar la gran ley de la paz, que son ellos quienes van a seguir a las madres.
So just like within your eyes, you never think about this. You never think about aligning your vision of your left eye and your right eye, and then you never think about inverting that image to send it to your brain. This is done automatically within the living systems of your entire body. So this is law within your body.
Como ustedes nunca van a tener que ponerse a pensar, ok, hay que invertir la imagen en los ojos para que podamos observar lo que vemos de forma adecuada, ¿no? Es la ley que su cerebro conectado a sus ojos hace esta inversión automática para que ustedes puedan ver lo que vemos.
And this is the, let's see, how would I identify this? How fortunate the people of today are that we've had such an evolution to us that right from the get-go, we have had a balance, that our mothers have guided us, our mothers have led us, our fathers have understood the balance that the life givers give us. That if we follow the male, there's no choice. If you follow our mothers, there is choice, but then once you have choice, you only choose law, which is to follow her. Not unconditionally, but unconditionally within law.
Y es así que los padres, los hombres, se levantaron la gran ley de la paz, decidiendo seguir a nuestras madres y seguirlas de nuevo, no ciegamente, sino en ley. Porque cuando se sigue al hombre, no hay de otra, es lo que se dice y ya, pero cuando se sigue a la madre, hay opciones, pero cuando hay opciones, entonces la opción más lógica es que todo se haga dentro y de acuerdo a la ley.
So when we think of why did the white European leave their home? Why did they have to go all around the earth destroying things?
Y cuando pensamos en por qué el blanco europeo tuvo que abandonar su casa para ir a destruir las casas de los otros en todos lados,
That's because they do not have law.
es porque no tienen ley.
So their two eyes, their two visions are just looking opposite directions. Their eyes are spinning like this, and they're only following the male that's out of control in a death spiral.
Entonces sus ojos no tienen dirección, no saben a dónde ver, cada uno se quiere ir por donde sea, entonces van en desorden en una espiral descendiente.
But yet we know that through their advancement all around the earth, we know through their own history of their behaviors, of their corruptions, right until this second. It's never stopped, never ended.
Y sabemos que las corrupciones que han traído no han terminado hasta el día de hoy.
And we look at the resulting wake that they have left behind them.
Y vemos el rastro que han dejado atrás de ellos.
Imagine walking on a path and whatever you think of yourself, but you look in the wake that you left behind you is just death and destruction. There's no life behind the white people. There's nothing left behind them. They have trampled everything to death.
Entonces imaginen que voltean hacia atrás y ven todo lo que han dejado es pura muerte y destrucción, no hay vida. Eso es lo que la gente europea blanca ha dejado.
And what does this mean? The trajectory. What is it? Where is it going through? What is the environment? The environment once was vibrant, living, healthy, but everywhere they have gone, the white European, it's dead now.
¿Y qué significa esta trayectoria? Si antes había vida y el ambiente era vibrante, era verde, ahora hay muerte.
So this is a clear, it's a no-brainer here that you look at the two ways of the world, because there's only two ways in the world. There's the ways of the white European, which has consumed absolutely all 8 billion people.
Y bueno, no hay hacia dónde mirar en el sentido de que se ve ya sea hacia la parte del blanco europeo cuyo pensamiento ha destruido a la mayoría del mundo.
And then there is the way of the great law of peace.
Y luego hay la forma de la gran ley de la paz.
But when you see that white is destroying everything, then you can tell that eventually peace will be limited down to maybe 1 final % of peace on the earth.
Pero cuando vemos que el blanco ha comido absolutamente todo, vamos a ver que a lo mejor la versión, la gran ley de la paz va a existir nada más en 1%.
And anyone can see this trajectory.
Y todo el mundo puede ver esta trayectoria.
It's impossible for you not to see this.
Es imposible no verla.
And so once you see this, then you have to determine of these two paths.
Y una vez que se ve, se tiene que determinar estos dos caminos.
One path in its wake, it's all death and destruction.
Uno es muerte y destrucción.
In the path of our people, we see what is there. Vibrancy, an abundance of life. The earth benefits. The earth becomes so vibrant when the people upon it are living within accordance with the living ecosystems.
Y en el camino de nuestra gente, el mundo se vuelve tan vibrante, tan verde, porque nuestra gente decide volverse parte armónica de los ecosistemas vivientes.
So in this trajectory, we see that while the wake of death is widening, it's encompassed the entire earth.
Y en esta trayectoria de la muerte vemos que esta muerte está acelerándose a un grado en el que va a cubrir el rostro de la tierra.
While the wake of peace is becoming a shorter bandwidth.
Mientras que el camino de la paz se está volviendo un camino muy estrecho.
And when something goes from, say, 100%, and it goes down to 1%, it's easy to tell the trajectory. You know where it's going next.
Y cuando algo va de 100% a 1%, es fácil determinar la trayectoria y saber qué sigue.
But why would that be if that is entirely dependent on people?
Pero ¿por qué sería así si todo depende de las personas, de la gente?
It tells us then that people are no longer on that path of peace. We are not blazing that trail so that the wake behind us is leaving life, happiness, love.
Nos dice que la gente no está abriendo el camino de la paz para que cuando voltemos hacia atrás, el camino nos muestre que hay felicidad y hay amor.
What I have seen in my lifetime is that my mother has shown me that not only is she a life giver and I am a life protector, but she is also my life protector and I am also her life giver.
Y lo que yo he aprendido de mi madre es que ella no es solamente mi dadora de vida y yo soy su protector de vida, sino que ella también es mi protector de vida y yo soy su dador de vida.
I have this memory of I must have been 4 years old because I remember it was before kindergarten.
Tengo este recuerdo, debí yo de haber tenido unos 4 años porque fue antes del kinder.
Mind you, I'm born and raised in a longhouse, and I know certain things that, hey, church, this is the enemy to the earth.
Y bueno, obviamente aclaro que nací y crecí en la casa larga, entonces yo sé desde el inicio de mi vida que la iglesia es el enemigo de toda la vida.
So this is around 1966.
Entonces estamos hablando de 1966
Up until that point, I was with my mother pretty much every day, all the time.
y obviamente estaba a diario con mi mamá casi todo el tiempo.
Summertime, she leaves me at my grandmother's and she goes to a funeral.
Y en el verano me deja en la casa de mi abuela y ella se va para un funeral.
And I didn't remember that. Like, I didn't know. I wasn't told that she went to a funeral.
Y yo no me acordaba, es decir, a mí no se me dijo que ella iba para un funeral.
But all of a sudden, I remember I'm at my grandmother's and I started getting all emotional for my mother. Where's Ma? Where's Ma?
Pero me acuerdo que estoy en casa de mi abuelita y de repente me vuelvo todo emocional y estoy pensando en mi mamá y digo, ¿y dónde está?
When I look back at it now, I can obviously see that there was a disruption. My feng shui that day was out of order.
Y ahora que lo pienso, me doy cuenta que hubo un desorden, es mi feng shui que estaba alterado.
So it would be the equivalent of the example earlier of that dog that comes there and is looking for that comfortable spot. And instead of finding it, I was just kept going in circles like this.
Es el equivalente del perro que trataba de encontrar su lugar para sentarse y en lugar de encontrarlo, nada más podía seguir dando círculos.
Until I was crying and raising such a fuss, then my aunt and my grandmother had told me where my mother was. She went to this funeral that was at the church. That was only maybe, 300-400 feet away from where my grandmother was.
Hasta que lloré y lloré y bueno, por fin mi tía y mi abuelita me dijeron a dónde estaba mi mamá, que había ido a un funeral en la iglesia, que era solamente unos 300-400 metros de donde yo me encontraba.
And it's right on the main street in the village.
Y es en la calle principal del pueblo.
So anyways, the age I was at, I had no worries. I was already kind of like independent, going out on my own, playing around, moving around. That's how safe the community was back then. You can't allow your children to do that now.
Y a esa edad, en aquel entonces yo ya sabía a dónde ir, cómo ir, hacia dónde era el grado de seguridad que la comunidad tenía en aquel entonces. Hoy en día, si tienes un niño de 4 años, no lo puedes dejar salir solo.
So I walked up there to the church and the doors were closed and I went and I was banging on the doors like this, boom, 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 boom. And I was yelling, Mom.
Entonces caminé hasta la puerta de la entrada de la iglesia, las puertas grandotas estaban cerradas y empecé a dar de puñazos así y empecé a gritar, mamá.
And my mother came out.
Y mi mamá salió.
She wanted to go back in. She's telling me, go back to grandma's.
Y quería volver y me decía, regrésate a casa de tu abuelita.
I don't know who it was who had passed, but it was obviously somebody of importance.
No sé quién había fallecido, pero obviamente era alguien de importancia.
Because there's no way that my mother would have been at church.
Porque no hay otra forma en que mi mamá estuviese en la iglesia.
Even though back then, the church religification had its stranglehold, its death grip on the people, put fear in the people because they had the police, the RCMP, to enforce whatever the priests were saying about the people.
A pesar de que en aquel entonces el proceso de religiosificación tenía sus garras bien metidas en la gente porque les impusieron a todos miedo mediante la policía.
Anyways, no, I wasn't. I wasn't going back to grandma's and I wasn't going to leave with my mother there. No, we both had to leave.
Entonces, no, yo no me iba a volver a casa de mi abuela solo sin mi mamá, entonces la tuve que sacar de ahí, los dos nos fuimos.
So this is the example of how she was my life giver and I was her life protector. And at the same time, I was her life giver and she was my life protector.
Y ese es el ejemplo de cómo ella era mi dadora de vida y yo su protector de vida, pero al mismo tiempo yo era su dador de vida y ella era mi protectora de vida.
So within matrilineal, this is the human advantage that you have of being love, that the life giver is within her comfort zone of being able to be that and life protector, and so is the male. But under male dominance, there is only one thing.
Entonces esa es la fuerza de la matrilinealidad. La dadora de vida tiene la capacidad de ser protector de vida y el protector de vida tiene la capacidad de ser dadora de vida. Pero en la dominación masculina solamente hay una forma.
And so myself filling my role, even at 4 years old,
Y el hecho de que llevé a cabo mi papel a pesar de que tenía nada más 4 años,
I was my mother's life giver.
le di vida a mi mamá,
I gave her life in taking her out of that negative.
sacándola de eso negativo.
And this is everyone's responsibility to affect law, no matter what age, no matter what the circumstances. You give birth to law.
Y esa es la responsabilidad de quien sea, en donde sea, sin importar la edad, hay que dar a luz a la ley.
So as you say in the example here, this was a perfect thing that happened here this morning in order for us to give this example.
Y entonces lo que ocurrió esta mañana fue un ejemplo perfecto para poder abordar el asunto.
As you see, what we done is we took the time to go back to reverse it, to give birth to the proper thing.
Como vieron, tomamos el tiempo de hacerlo de la forma adecuada para poder dar nacimiento a la forma adecuada.
So this is what has happened here in Turtle Island. In order for the great peace that was once at 100% to go down to 1%, is that people have stopped giving birth to the process.
Entonces, eso es lo que es en la isla de la Tortuga y lo que ocurrió con todo el proceso de imposición es que la gente dejó de dar a luz al proceso de la paz.
And so the ways and manner in how we give birth is of the utmost importance.
Entonces, las formas y los procesos en los que damos a luz es de la mayor importancia.
Most of the world goes into a hospital where there's a male doctor, and that male doctor is subjected to things that he isn't aware of. It's not love that is flowing through him. It is his male mind.
La mayoría de la gente va a un hospital con un doctor a que le ayude a dar a luz y entonces no se trata del amor lo que va a ser a la base de eso, sino el espíritu de dominación masculina.
To give birth, the individuals, especially if it's the first time that a mother is giving birth, she must be guided. She has to be guided by everyone around her, guided by love, not to say do this or do that, just guided with love. You know, maybe she's a little testy today, you know, because of all the stuff that's going on, and she might get a little bit angry, maybe blurt out. Guide her with love. All the people around her must be love.
Y para poder dar a luz, toda la gente alrededor de la madre, que a lo mejor un día va a estar así como muy cansada o angustiada o que todo le molesta, es todo alrededor de amor que la va a guiar.
As is the grandmother or mother or midwife that is going to be the one grabbing that baby, pulling that baby into the world, the first hands that touch that baby. This is supposed to be love. If it cannot be the grandmother, if it cannot be an aunt, great-grandmother, grandmother, aunt, then you have a midwife, somebody that you know, someone that you trust, someone that is that love.
Así como cuando se da a luz, las primeras manos que van a recibir al bebecito van a ser el de la mami, el de la abuelita, el de la tía, y si no puede ser, bueno, la partera, pero que sea justamente el entendimiento de este amor.
So if we give birth with love in this world, to not just children, to our thoughts, to our ideas, then these things are going to be on a proper trajectory. It's not going to be a fight in between the two eyes and maybe where you're going to miss your target. It's going to be following the pathway, the trajectory of our mothers into love. This is what life is about.
Entonces, para poder dar a luz, se trata de no puede haber una batalla entre ambos ojos, tiene que haber todo conducivo hacia el amor.
Okay, so all of this being said, I know you know that we're leading into speaking with Valentina, who's here with us today, who is in fact a midwife.
Y habiendo dicho esto, yo sé que ustedes saben que estamos haciendo el preámbulo para poder hablar con Valentina, que se encuentra aquí hoy con nosotros, quien es una partera,
We spoke with Valentina a lot of times.
y hablamos con ella muchas veces.
Every time is just as important, as just as special.
Y cada vez es igual de importante y de especial.
But today is a little bit different.
Pero hoy es un poco distinto.
Stars are aligning, and different spiritual and political alliances, people in search of truth are building a network of love back upon the land.
Las estrellas se están alineando y gente joven que está interesada en el cuidado de la tierra, el regreso de la autoridad de nuestras madres, están creando una red en la tierra.
And as this network builds, it gets bigger.
Y mientras esta red crece, bueno, aumenta su tamaño.
And the proof of this, the living exemplification of this today is Valentina.
Y la prueba viviente de esto hoy es Valentina.
That at one time, as we know, that her field of expertise now, what she does, the love that she brings into the world and assisting women in birthing, that at one time, it was, let's say, isolated to a small area. And now you can see it expanding.
En cierto momento, es decir, su dominio de experiencia se encontraba en un ámbito, pero ahora se está expandiendo.
This is what happens when love is the guiding force.
Y eso es lo que ocurre cuando es el amor la fuerza que guía,
Peace.
la paz.
When we have matrilineal in our minds, our mothers first, then this means everything that's going to come after, the males, everything will be in balance. But if you put the male first, everything is going to be out of whack.
Cuando tenemos la matrilinealidad, las madres son primero, eso va a ser el equilibrio, pero si se pone al hombre primero, todo va a estar fuera del orden.
So over the years, even from the time when my father was still alive, we had very beautiful contact with Valentina, not only through this process, but in different times actually here where my father actually able to sit and talk together, us able to, and from this time, we know we have seen the trajectory that she is on, that this is what she is doing. She is expanding love into the world, meaning she's expanding law, she's expanding peace.
Y desde que conocimos a Valentina, la conocimos todavía con mi papá, fue aquí, entonces desde aquí, porque hemos estado en este proceso de intercambio, pero aquí físicamente hablando, tuvimos la oportunidad de sentarnos, de compartir y hemos visto su trayectoria en la cual se ha encontrado expandiendo el amor.
And this is such a beautiful thing that like that dog that goes to find that feng shui spot, you know, that perfect spot to sit.
Y es algo tan hermoso que como de nuevo con el ejemplo del perro que encuentra dando vueltas ese lugar perfecto para sentarse.
That dog, like so many people in the world, are looking for it, trying to find it.
Ese perro, así como muchísima gente en el mundo, están tratando de encontrar ese sitio.
Whereas people such as Valentina are actually living it, are making it happen, expanding it into the world.
Siendo que gente como Valentina ya se encuentra expandiéndolo y afectándolo en el mundo.
And as she does, everyone that she meets, that she comes into contact with, they're exposed to this.
Y cuando lo hace, todo mundo que entra en contacto con ella son expuestos a esto.
And so today is a great coming together because, again, it's not just Valentina that is here to speak with us. She has made connections with our friends in so-called California, where this network is not just where it was, say, a communication over the phone or Zoom. Now it is physical contact where it is meshing together. Love is becoming a physical reality again.
Entonces ya no estamos hablando solamente de Valentina, sino que hoy se encuentra también conectada con gente conectada con la Casa Larga que se encuentran en el así llamado California y que ya no estamos hablando más de un poco de gente, sino de esta unión, fusión que se está llevando a cabo. Won't work.
It's not working. Okay, just for everybody to know that we're having a problem right now. We're having a meltdown with our batteries.
Que todo el mundo sepa, tenemos un problemita con la batería de la computadora.
This thing was working completely last night. I don't know why it's not working now.
Siendo que anoche estaba funcionando, pero ahora ya no.
Yeah, on there, if you put it on battery saver,
It was already on it. Weird.
oh, it seems to be okay now.
It's not plugged.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, how could you be checking it if it wasn't plugged?
I was checking.
Hang on.
Okay, well, it's plugged. Go to battery saver now.
It's already on battery saver. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, you just unplugged it.
It's on battery saver. It's already
Just
pressed.
hang on. I am gonna hold again, and we're gonna have
It's already on there.
Okay, we have to change computers here. So, give us a couple of minutes.
happened before and not in the middle of it. Entonces nada más denos un segundito porque vamos a cambiar
Plug
de
it back in, see what
computadoras. Al menos pasó antes y no después.
Wow, why the heck won't that work? Maybe that, like you said, maybe that's why they're selling those things
Yeah.
like that, at $40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And as you can tell, this camera and computer are a little bit less quality than the other one, but we still go with it. Oops, now I'm moving this.
I'll just leave it like that.
All right. There we go.
Okay, so, we'll see how long this computer lasts. Okay, anyways, Valentina, welcome. Yeah, this computer stuff just threw me off.
Entonces, Valentina y Dezirae y Freddy, Harold, los más bienvenidos. Y bueno, esta cuestión de la computadora ya me sacó de mi
Yeah,
consideraciones.
so just let us know where you are, how everything is. We've been thinking here that we've been waiting for this connection to happen between you over there.
Y bueno, hemos estado esperando a que esta conexión entre ustedes ocurra.
It must be very exciting anyways.
Debe de ser bien emocionante de todas formas.
Okay, anyways, how's everything? What's going on?
Entonces,
Where are you?
¿cómo va todo? ¿En dónde están? ¿Qué tienen que contarnos?
Hey, where are we gonna sit? Hi.
You want the plug?
Wow. Ay, perdón, pero no les escuchamos, Valentina.
Can you hear me?
It's on your side, Longhouse.
A menos que sea yo, espera, soy yo seguramente. A ver, habla otra vez. Ya, sí, era yo. Ok, ya, perdón. Ya les escuchamos, perdón. Wow.
It's incredible. We're here now, but
Yeah, maybe some sun.
sorry, yeah, we are arranging our. Oh, you want this?
Perdón, porque estamos acomodándonos para ver en dónde nos estamos cómodos.
Here, no?
The effect of the blur is really cool. It looks super nice.
Oh, it's blurry. Yeah. Let's see. Hi, guys.
Hey, Desiree.
So we're just trying to our little setup. We try to cook a little breakfast and everything without a kitchen. So we had an air fryer. So we're figuring just making a fruit salad. It was good, really good teamwork. It's just been so great to be with Valentina. We're still in shock. Freddy too is here and he's like, I can't believe she's really here.
Well, it must really be a good coming together, eh? It's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, we get to talk so much.
It's a good team.
Dice Dezirae que hicieron un desayuno, no tenían cocina en la casa, entonces hicieron un fueguito afuera, se comieron una ensalada de frutas, hicieron un súper buen trabajo de equipo y Freddy está súper contento, está diciendo, no puedo creer que Valentina esté aquí, realmente es como casi sueño. Entonces todos están están re contentos.
Okay, so for people who don't know, maybe just tell us first where yous are, who you're with, why you're there.
Y para quienes no sepan, si nos pueden decir tal vez quiénes son, por qué están ahí, para qué.
Okay.
You guys hear us okay?
Yeah.
Upload, is that all right?
You
Put it
guys
on.
hear-
blog.
I'm not supposed to talk.
We're getting closer. I know. Should we get the speaker?
So we're in San Jose, if you can hear us.
We can hear you, but we're just gonna plug into a Bluetooth device that might make it better, so we hear you better. Just hang on.
Can we get closer for a microphone? Maybe you.
Well, once we got it on the speaker, we'll be able to pick you up really good.
Wanna just connect first.
Edgar there or no?
Yes, I think so.
Oh,
Y Edgar está ahí, Valentina.
hola Edgar.
There you go.
Yeah, there he is.
All right. There, we got him.
Si quieres lo agregamos para que lo veas.
Well, it looks beautiful there today.
Se ve re bonito ahí.
Send us some of that because over here it's gray and gloomy and raining.
Si nos pueden mandar un poquito porque aquí está lloviendo, está medio negro, bueno, oscurito.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
right. It's enough to clean the air.
I said, can you hear it?
Yeah, we can hear you really good now.
Good, good.
Yous aren't all in one spot then.
Entonces todos están juntos ahí.
San Jose, yes. We find a way to meet in a middle place because well, hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here physically with the Longhouse, the crew of the Longhouse, and virtually too. And yes, we're very excited also to meet and to encounter these beautiful hearts. And yeah, we are in San Jose in California. I came, like I shared the last time, I came to assist and accompany a midwife, a friend of mine that she's Chicana. And I am in Salinas, like 1 hour from here. And they drove all the way from Fresno to San Jose. So we are here. We're in San Jose, in the middle, kind of.
Okay, where is Edgar then? He's not there with you.
Edgar's like.
Oh, Edgar, yes, that was misunderstood because the last time I think you understand that Edgar was going to come to California, but he's in San Cristobal in Chiapas, so we have the 3 territories.
All right.
Entonces, Valentina dice que la bandita de la parte joven de la Casa Larga que se encuentra en el así llamado California, ellos se encuentran en Fresno, pero manejaron hasta San José, que es ahorita donde se encuentran, porque es a 1 hora más o menos de en donde ella fue a ayudar a hacer un parto. Entonces está súper contenta de encontrarse con ellos físicamente por vez primera y como ellos, como extensión de la Casa Larga, el hecho de que estemos aquí conectados con la Casa Larga y también con Edgar, que está en San Cristóbal de las Casas, pues bueno, es fenomenal.
Okay, so Valentina, you're there, as we know, you're there to assist in a birth, in your expertise as a midwife. Is this the first time that you've gone such a distance to do this, or has this happened before?
Y Valentina, sabemos que estás ahí para ayudar en partos. ¿Esta es la primera vez que has viajado tan lejos para hacer esto o ya ha ocurrido en el pasado?
My first birth, the first time that I had the chance to be in a birth was here in California. So it's very interesting that 9 years later, I have this opportunity to come here again, no? But I was kind of like initiating here with a family up north in California because I was with them and the midwife didn't came. Now I understand that here everybody lives in long distances, no? Myself that I am working now with my friend in Salinas, we're driving every day, like we're going to 3 different cities in one day to do the prenatal care or postpartum care. So I understand that midwives here, they they drove a lot different cities, no? So sometimes they miss the birth. So that was my opportunities to assist my friend's birth because the midwife didn't came.
Y a Valentina dice que no, de hecho la primera vez que pudo estar en un parto fue hace 9 años y fue justamente en California. Entonces se le hace muy interesante que después de 9 años pueda volver aquí y que ahora, bueno, es otra etapa. Y algo que se ha dado cuenta mucho es que la gente allá en California maneja mucho. O sea, por ejemplo, todo está a largas distancias, entonces para ir a asistir a un parto o seguir a una madre embarazada tiene que dar la mujer con la que se encuentra ahorita hospedada 1 hora y media para irse a mover a todos estos distintos lugares.
And for you, how long before the scheduled birthing date, how long do you like to be there before that takes place?
Y antes de la fecha programada del nacimiento de un bebecito, ¿cuánto tiempo antes te gusta estar ahí para poder acompañar?
That's a good question because this if you go to the hospital, they will give you like a due date, right? They will tell you it's going to be the 15th of April, but actually it's not a date, it's a moon, or we can count it by moons, or we can count it also for periods, because if we say one day to the mother, and if it will give a lot of tension, you know, it's a lot of head on it, and the family members and everybody, it's too worry about if the pregnancy process gets a little longer. So we like to speak about period, no? And it's 2 weeks before the due date or 2 weeks after. So it's a period, almost like a month period where the baby can come. So when we are a traveler's midwife, it's always a challenge because we need to know how to measure. And sometimes the best thing is to be there 2 weeks before, no? But
Y entonces,
you never know.
es difícil el dar una fecha y, por ejemplo, como parteras tratamos de no dar una fecha, decir, el 18 de junio es cuando tu bebé va a nacer, porque realmente se sabe que a partir de la fecha calculada aproximada, se trata de 2 semanas antes y de 2 semanas después, todo el periodo en el que el bebé puede llegar. Entonces se trata de decir, es toda esa luna entera en la que el bebecito puede llegar. Entonces, cuando se tiene una fecha calculada, tratar de estar ahí un par de semanas antes, cuando uno es una partera que viaja, es difícil. Entonces, bueno, eso es lo que se trata de hacer, pero realmente es un poco complicado manejar todo esto.
You know, I've never considered this until you just said that.
Nunca había considerado esto hasta ahorita que lo mencionas.
About the stress, the pressure it must put on a mother soon as a doctor, which is considered to be authority, tells you you're going to have your baby on this date.
Acerca de la preocupación y el estrés que se le pone a una mamá cuando el doctor le dice vas a tener a tu bebé en este día.
Because then I could imagine that, well, especially for first-time mothers,
Porque luego podré imaginar, sobre todo para las madres primerizas,
that as they're approaching that date, they must get nervous inside.
que entre más se acercan a la fecha, deben de empezar a ponerse nerviosas por dentro.
Of course, I could imagine that if I was a pregnant woman, I would know that I'm getting close to that time anyways.
Y por cierto, que pues si yo fuera, me imagino, una mujer embarazada, sentiría que me estoy acercando a la fecha.
But then this is where the example about two eyes looking in two different directions come in.
Pero ahí está el ejemplo de cómo cuando hay 2 ojos que ven en distintas direcciones,
Where the mother, along with a midwife, working with all the cycles, working with the moon, it's like you're building up, you're growing into that. But if you're told from day one that you're going to have your baby on this date, 8 months from now, then that would clash with what the mother would actually be going through, actually feeling. This would be the equivalent of where your two eyes that should be aligned are coming out of whack with each other, coming out of alignment. And because a doctor tells you April 1st, oh no, April 1st, but it's April 2nd, inside the mother would be in distress, and this would be part and parcel as to what justifies doctors inflicting C-sections upon women which has to be an overburden on them in the first place to start off with.
Y allí está la importancia justamente del papel de la partera, en el sentido que ella va a poder acompañar a la madre durante el periodo de que está embarazada, encinta, y va a poder decirle, tu bebé va a llegar en esta luna. Entonces le da como una especie de ligereza, de sentirse, vamos a ir evolucionando con el tiempo, con el paso, acompañándose, pero en cuanto ocurre que la mamá está sujeta a los hospitales y al doctor, y el doctor le dice, es este día en que lo vas a tener, pues a lo mejor los dos ojos con el acompañamiento se van alineando poco a poco, pero cuando le dicen es este día y a lo mejor no está lista, pues los ojos van a empezar a hacerse completamente viscos. Entonces, de ahí la importancia de no imponer una fecha y de poder darle el proceso evolutivo natural a la madre en su acompañamiento.
This is where I could see that the things that a midwife, yourself, or others, in the interaction of love with the mother, this would be the equivalent of, like we said earlier, like the dog trying to find that spot, looking around. Oh, here it is. It's comfortable right here. That's the equivalent of the, like we said, like the feng shui thing.
Y ahí está de nuevo el ejemplo de cuando el perro va a dar vueltas para poder encontrar el lugar adecuado. Es el feng shui del acompañamiento de la partera con la mami embarazada.
So on your level, from your own personal daily emotions, when you're involved in something like this, especially like this where you have to travel, where there has to be a certain level of greater importance to it, you know, is there can you detect like a greater feeling of love? Do you feel it more within you whenever you're approaching a time such as this?
Y en ese nivel justamente del acompañamiento, tú que eres una partera que va a viajar para asistir a estos partos, sientes que a nivel emocional, cuando viajas y te acercas al momento de que la mamá va a dar a luz, te encuentras más como bañada en un sentimiento de amor mucho más amplio?
Yes, yeah, very, very, I'm going to speak Spanish, okay?
Dale.
Because sí, como que mi palabra viene más del corazón así, ¿no? La verdad es que como responder a las preguntas de Stuart ahorita, en este caso, pues creo que pues sí, o sea, es que para mí es un honor, for me it's really a big honor for somebody to invite you to the most precious and intimate moment of their lives. It's one of the most precious time in their life of somebody. I was talking with them that 2 days ago, I had the opportunity to accompany a bird that I was not supposed to be there. And I saw that a man, the father, transformed himself because we went 2 days before to an appointment there to prenatal care. And we were very uncomfortable with him because he looks like someone who was uncomfortable with brown skin persons, you know. And because my friend, she accompanied all kind of families here in Berkeley, and no, in Berkeley, sorry, and no, it's in all area. It's different cities, no. And myself, I found that, that's very admirable and incredible for me to see how Nancy can manage with all kind of different people, no? Even people who are very out of their philosophy or, you know, so it was very strong to see. I mean, for me, it was very uncomfortable because I felt like he was uncomfortable with me and I was in his house, in his territory, you know? And I was looking the house and was all full of flights of American flights and symbols about army and stuff like that. So I was, whoa, no, come on. But I was not going to be there, supposed to be, but at the last moment, Nancy took me there because her student couldn't come early. So it was very hard for me to enter in that space where I was not invited and when I felt like somebody was uncomfortable, no? But with the time that, because everything was too fast and fluid, so the baby came and I saw this man completely transform himself, and I see his humanity inside of him, and everything changed, So I was really happy how people can deeply touch their hearts when they see something so nature, so human, no, expressing in their own.
Entonces, Valentina dice, bueno, así como que responder a la pregunta, esto ahorita es como difícil, pero bueno, ahí va. Y aparte, bueno, en inglés, ¿no? Pero justo acaba de asistir un parto en el cual ella no estaba programada. Entonces, su amiga, justamente con la que se está quedando, tenía este parto y normalmente estaba esperando a una estudiante para acompañarla, pero no pudo llegar a tiempo, entonces Valentina fue. Y cuando llegó al lugar, era un lugar de este señor bien blanco, bien de esta mentalidad de que luego se vio que se siente incómodo con la gente de pieles morenas. Y bueno, ella no estaba invitada, entonces le costó trabajo entrar a este espacio en el que no se sentía bienvenida y que la gente se sentía incómoda. Y fue así que vio cómo la capacidad de dar a luz en este acompañamiento de la partería abre corazones y cambia mentes, porque el hombre se transformó a lo largo del proceso de parto. Al final ya era otro y estaba completamente agradecido de lo que ocurrió. Entonces, esa es la magia de la transformación de la partería.
So then, the assisting for anybody. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So I was already, I shared this with them, no, that so I was going to check the placenta, to see if it was complete, because we always need to see if it's not any piece was left inside of the womb. You need to be sure that all placenta is out and safe, and even the membranes, because the membrane, the back, the membranes are inserted in the placenta, no? So it's very beautiful. One day we can make like teachings about the placenta. I can share proper teachings of placenta, because it's so important everybody to know about the placenta, right? So I went to the toilet to check with the placenta, because Nancy told me, go there because they don't want to see blood, they don't want to see nothing. Okay, so I went to the bathroom, and suddenly he came with me and he asked me if he can be there. I said, of course, and I was very happy to show him the placenta, no? And I was explaining him many things about the tree of life, about how the ancestrality is expressed through that tree. And he changed his mind many times. I saw him kind of reconnecting with something. And he told me, I felt that this is not the first time I saw this. No, I lived this before. And I say, no. So we have this bowl of blood. And it was quite a bit. And I asked him, hey, do you think we can plant this blood in your garden? And he gets in silence. And Nancy my friend, she just saw me like, oh, what did you ask? No. and he was like thinking a lot, very serious. And then he said, okay, yeah, okay. So he took me to the garden, and that was my favorite part of everything, because I felt like in certain ways there is so much disconnection here from Mother Earth. And so for me to bring back the blood to the earth in that silent night, and to present the baby to the earth, the grandmother earth, for me, just that little tiny thing, for me, is so powerful, because that's the way we can really reconnect with nature, with mother nature, with our nature, actually, no? And for me, it was very, very special to do this, because I felt like the land was going to be alive again, no? And the connection with us, with nature, with our mother, is going to be stronger, no? So that's the things that we need to really know how to do that. And for me, it was amazing, because I feel like the energy of the earth, like she spoke, no? I felt, thank you, she said, no? And that was very beautiful to do this in his house, in a white guy house.
Valentina nos cuenta que cuando acabó el parto, ella quiso cuidar inmediatamente de la placenta, porque obviamente la placenta es la parte súper fundamental en donde el bebecito creció todo ese tiempo y ahora es tiempo de checar la placenta, de ver las membranas que están, su integridad física, la forma en la que ha transmitido la sangre, y eso siempre lo hacen las parteras. Entonces ella fue al baño para ocuparse de eso y el hombre, dueño de la casa, se acercó a ella y fue al baño con ella y él le preguntó, ¿puedo acompañarte? ¿Puedo observar? Y le dijo, sí, claro. Entonces le estuvo explicando, le estuvo contando, él estaba muy asombrado porque su amiga le había dicho que se fuera al baño porque no querían ver sangre. Entonces le sorprendió mucho a Valentina que él quisiera ser parte de eso. Y ya cuando estaban en el intercambio, Valentina le preguntó, oye, podemos enterrar la placenta en tu jardín. Entonces, él se quedó como callado pensando y su amiga le dijo, oye, ¿qué le preguntaste? ¿Qué pasó? Pero de repente él reflexionó y dijo, ok, vamos a hacerlo. Entonces, Valentina dice, fue mi momento más bonito de todo este proceso porque fue cuando fuimos justamente al jardín a enterrar esta placenta en el jardín de la casa de un hombre blanco. Y esto fue en un lugar en el que hay tanta desconexión de nuestra madre tierra, en el que la gente ya no sabe cómo hablar con ella, cómo comunicar, cómo agradecerlo. Entonces, a la hora de enterrar esta placenta, es como si ella sintió que mamá tierra agradecía, y esa es la capacidad de decir, esto puede funcionar, es decir, ella puede volver a curar con estas acciones que se hacen por ella.
This doctor, this guy, is this the first time that he's seen or heard of this, of the placenta being buried in the garden?
Y para él era la primera vez que escuchaba que las placentas se entierran, por ejemplo, en este caso en el jardín.
Yes. Actually, when I was saying that it was just the blood, it was like a bunch of, it was not the placenta, no, properly. They're gonna bury it, but in that moment was like a big bowl of blood, no? And yeah, it was a surprise, but yeah, no, he was very surprised. Since the moment the baby came, he was completely surprised of what happened here. I think he couldn't imagine what was going to happen. No, it was all in their mind to have a baby at home, but suddenly he found out that we are not just midwives from urban midwives, but we have another knowledge, no? So he was kind of surprised of what we were trying to do also, no? Because I found that here, for example, is home births. Home births means a lot of technological and medical stuff, you know, but what we practice is traditional midwifery, no, ancestral midwifery. So it's different because you can go to make home births respectfully in their house and whatever, but you don't bring all this knowledge with you, no? You just attend the birth and check that everything is fine, that the vital signs are okay, the baby is okay, and you can go but what we are trying to do is not just accompany the physical that I was talking, no? Like trying to bring this knowledge to their houses, to them, to the babies, no? And to welcome in that way.
Y bueno, de hecho, desde que el bebecito nació, el hombre ya estaba transformado, porque lo que ocurre mucho en zonas urbanas es que se dan lo que se llaman los nacimientos en casa. Entonces, esto puede ser una forma muy hospitalaria de hacer las cosas, es decir, se da el nacimiento en casa, se lleva más o menos como el hospital a la casa, se enfoca todo en el aspecto físico del bebé, de la madre, y ya se acabó. Pero cuando una partera no es necesariamente urbana, sino que trae conocimiento de la partería ancestral, de la partería tradicional, pues es otro concepto, es acompañar en la totalidad al espíritu, a la emoción de la mami, del niño, y todo este conocimiento que implica también con la conexión de la tierra. Entonces, él ya desde que nació el bebé ya estaba transformado.
This is when you relate this, I connect it directly to what was stated earlier about the men following the primary, following the life givers.
Cuando cuentas esto, me hace pensar efectivamente en lo que decía al principio, de cómo los hombres van a seguir a la primera, que es la dadora de vida.
It's very very good to hear you relate this because it exposes to us something that is happening, a trend that is happening upon the land.
Y que es exactamente distinto que cuando se trabaja con armonía de la tierra.
Okay, wait a minute, something's going on here. What's
No,
up?
it's because I know that you asked to plug the computer somewhere, but I'm thinking that the computer is, when you connect it, it's gonna be less power if it's just connected without functioning, so we could try and connect it here. Remember what I was telling you about the what?
Okay, let's try, yeah, plug it into here. All right, sorry about that.
Yeah, sí, perdón, fue mi culpa, pero ya estoy pensando en que no se acabe la batería, entonces.
We gotta deal with,
Ser prevenida.
Tenemos que pensar en todo.
okay, so anyways, what ends up happening is something that the system, which this guy obviously is a part of, isn't used to.
Entonces, obviamente, aquí el hombre a lo que le estaba haciendo frente es que él está acostumbrado a hacer algo en el sistema, pero ahora estaba haciendo algo a lo cual no estaba acostumbrado del todo.
You have affected a change of knowledge into the birthing process.
Entonces, afectaste un cambio en el proceso del nacimiento.
And of course, knowledge is love.
Y por supuesto, este proceso de nacimiento fue el conocimiento que tú traías, que es el amor.
So we can see a tiny shift in the male dominance. You are a gauge of this.
Entonces podemos ver cómo hay un cambio en la dominación masculina y tú eres como la medida de esto.
And something that it makes me think of is the way that the births used to take place within the longhouse.
Y algo que me hace pensar es en cómo los nacimientos ocurrían en la casa larga.
Okay, wait 1 minute. Did you unplug this?
No, I
Did
plugged
you
it
go
in.
directly into this? Well, you can't do that because that other thing's plugged into there. Okay, sorry about that.
Perdón de nuevo.
Within the longhouse, as you know, everybody lives together in the longhouse.
Como sabemos, en la casa larga, pues la gente vive junta.
There is a men's side and a woman's side of the longhouse.
Y hay un lado femenino y masculino de la casa larga.
And this would mean that on the woman's side is the place where the birthings take place.
Y significa que entonces es en el lado femenino que los nacimientos ocurren.
But it's in the house where everybody is living.
Pero es en la casa en la que todo mundo vive.
So this would mean that at any time, anybody would have exposure to that process, the most beautiful process ever.
Y esto significaría que todo mundo estaría expuesto a este proceso tan hermoso.
When we consider this, that what it takes to have a baby in the world,
Cuando consideramos lo que toma tener a un bebé en el mundo,
of course, it's the act of love between two people.
por supuesto es el acto de amor entre dos personas.
And that love of those two people expressed is experienced mainly just between those two people, but then there is the byproduct of that. Well, other people around them can feel that love also.
Y este amor es el producto del amor entre dos personas, pero también está el subproducto de que otras personas también van a vivir ese amor.
So the act of bringing a baby, or of making a baby, does produce love between those two people, and it produces love into their extended families. Kind of limited though, you know, it's like compared to the people, it's limited. Maybe let's say 2% of the people would be affected by it.
Y entonces en el acto de amor, bueno, de crear ese bebecito va a aumentar el amor en la pareja, pero también va a aumentar el amor en la gente que les rodea. A lo mejor no va a ser exponencial, pero va a aumentar en un pequeño porcentaje.
But then when the resulting baby is born into the world, then the love that is expressed into the world is beyond just the two people that it took to make that baby, beyond just their family that felt the byproduct of it. Now this is right into all the people. Everyone has access to that love within the longhouse when babies are born in the proper way.
Y en la casa larga, cuando el bebé nace de forma adecuada, pues el resultado de que el bebé llegue y nazca va a exponencializar el amor en la pareja, en la gente que les rodea y en toda la casa larga porque la gente vive junta. Entonces todos reciben a este bebecito expandiendo el amor.
But as you know, it's not just say the love or whatever you feel by assisting a birth, there is a greater medicine that is beyond just say the person receiving the baby. This brings like an invisible medicine into the room, into the house. It's like when we burn sage, it goes everywhere. That baby stuff, babiness, emits everywhere into the house.
Y sabemos que el amor va a ser mucho mayor, es decir, como cuando se quema la salvia, esto se va a expandir en todos lados. Entonces, cuando el bebé llega, el amor de su llegada va a ir por todos lados.
So since the births in the longhouse are under the control and the authority of the mothers,
Y puesto que los nacimientos en la casa larga están bajo la guía y el control de las madres,
they would see sometimes that a person might need that medicine more than others. Maybe this person is lacking love. Maybe there was a death, and they can't get over it, or maybe they're just in some type of depression. That the birth of a baby is a great medicine that the mothers would then affect upon the people who need that medicine. So a certain person might be brought into, if not directly into the birthing room, would be right there where they could be hearing everything, knowing what all the action is, work that's got to be done. They might be there for this.
y entonces tal vez en el manejo de las madres, cómo lo hacen con el amor, si hay una persona que perdió a alguien, se encuentra en duelo y no puede salir de ahí, se encuentra en depresión, alguien que sabemos que necesita la medicina, las madres llevarían a esa persona al sitio del nacimiento y se encargarían de que la persona se vuelva útil, que haga cosas, que esté al tanto de todo lo que está ocurriendo porque saben que esa va a ser medicina para su espíritu.
And then something that you made me think of about the blood or placenta or the umbilical cord being buried in the garden.
Y algo que me hiciste pensar acerca del hecho de enterrar ya sea la sangre, la placenta o el cordón umbilical en la tierra, en este caso en el jardín.
This is done so that the person is always going to know where their anchor is. This is their anchor. This is their home.
Esto ocurre para que la persona sepa en dónde se encuentra su ancla, es decir, esa es su casa.
And so what we don't consider is that, well, at birth, part of us is buried into the earth. And then after, like, say with my father, after 86 years, then the rest of him is planted into the earth also.
Y así el bebecito, la bebecita va a saber que su cordón umbilical, su placenta, lo que le formó, se encuentra ahí, en su casa, en su territorio, y así como vimos en el caso de mi papá, cuando fallece 86 años después, él también es vuelto a poner, ser puesto en la tierra de nuevo.
So there is a broken cycle here that we have to replace, but it will take quite a long time.
Entonces hay un ciclo que ha sido roto, que tenemos que reponer y que va a tomar cierto tiempo.
Where the cycle is, as a baby, you, either your placenta or the blood or the umbilical cord is buried in the mother's garden.
En el caso de que, es decir, este ciclo que ha sido roto es el hecho de que cuando el bebé nace, que la placenta o el cordón umbilical o la sangre o todo junto se ha devuelto a la tierra.
So today you got to think how many people actually have access to this cycle.
Entonces hay que pensar hoy cuánta gente tiene de hecho acceso a este ciclo íntegro.
As you know, the majority of 8 billion people on this planet born in hospitals or whatever, they don't ever get their placenta or the umbilical cord or the blood to be buried at home. This never happens.
Como sabemos hoy, en la mayoría de los 8,000 millones de personas que viven en la Tierra nacen en hospitales con doctores y bueno, no van a poder enterrar ni la placenta, ni el cordón, ni nada.
So it will take something such as this, like with my sons. Now they're 20, I don't even know how old they are, 25, 26. When they were born, we buried their umbilical cord in the garden here.
Y, por ejemplo, el caso de mis hijos, ya ahora ni siquiera sé qué edad tienen, 24, 25, 26, algo así, pero cuando nacieron, le enterramos su cordón umbilical en el jardín.
So to complete that cycle, now we would have to wait until, knock on wood, that it's going to be a long time, but when they come time for them to pass from this world, and that maybe whoever it is, the face is yet beneath the earth, when it comes time for them to bury them, put them right back into the same ground as to where their umbilical cord was buried.
Y para completar ese ciclo, bueno, toco madera que no sea muy pronto para nada, pero que cuando llegue el momento de que ellos también dejen de caminar sobre el rostro de nuestra madre tierra, su cuerpo también pueda volver a la misma tierra en la que se encuentra su cordón umbilical.
This is a cycle of life and death of which we must return to the earth, that everybody on earth at one time had this cycle as a part of them. Now this has been missing for hundreds of years, in the non-native world, perhaps thousands of years.
Y ese,
But here, at least, I would say, at least 100 years since the cycle has been broken.
y ese es el ciclo de vida y muerte que existió por toda la existencia de la humanidad, que ha sido roto, yo diría aquí en el caso de la isla de la Tortuga, por unos, how long?
At least 100 years here.
Al menos por unos 100 años.
But in the non-native world, who knows? At war all the time, thousands of years probably.
Pero en el caso del mundo no nativo, que se encuentran en guerra desde hace miles de años, pues tal vez desde ese entonces.
And when you consider the practices of society today, it's pretty much impossible. Even if you did have your umbilical cord buried at home in your garden, chances are your family is going to sell their house, if they have a house, or you're going to move away and you're not even going to know where your umbilical cord was buried, therefore making it impossible to return your body back to it.
Y ahora lo que ocurre, como están las cosas en el día, es que la mayoría de la gente, a pesar de que tenga una casa, después la van a acabar vendiendo, ya la gente no tiene un territorio anclado en el que digan, este es mi lugar. Entonces, a pesar de que se entierre un cordón, ni siquiera hay garantía de que cuando la persona fallezca pueda volver su cuerpo al mismo lugar en el que enterraron su cordón umbilical.
This is one of the main causes or main designs of male dominance to disrupt the complete order of creation.
Y esa es una de las razones principales en las que la dominación masculina va a tomar las riendas para alterar el ciclo natural de la creación.
That this is a cycle necessary for us to complete to be able to have a proper transition. Just like in a baby cycle, certain things are necessary in order for that baby to be born healthy.
Es un ciclo necesario como para que un bebé pueda nacer en salud de forma adecuada. Bueno, se necesitan ciertos pasos.
So we just think, how many people who have started off in this world, maybe their umbilical cord's buried, but by the time they're ready to pass from this world, they don't even know where it is. They don't even remember that they got to be buried. Nowadays, a lot of people are becoming cremated, so they're not returning to that first part of them.
Entonces, a pesar de que se hubiese enterrado el cordón umbilical cuando la personita nació, cuando va a llegar el fin de su vida, ¿cuántos van a poder volver a ese lugar? A lo mejor inclusive están decidiendo ser cremados. ¿Cuánta gente es cremada? Justamente impidiendo el ciclo de regreso del cuerpo a nuestra madre tierra.
Valentina, a short story for you. You got to place yourself looking at our garden. From when you enter the backyard at our place and you're looking at the garden, look to the left. I don't know if you've been here since my father had passed, but this is where my father is buried, to the left of the garden in the circle pine trees.
Valentina, no sé si ya veniste después de que mi papá falleció, pero para que lo veas, lo que puedes hacer es cuando se va entrando por la casa larga y ves el jardín ceremonial, volteas hacia la izquierda y es ahí en donde se encuentra enterrado mi papá.
Now there's something that happened here about 30 years ago, 28 to 30 years ago, that I didn't make the connection until just this past week.
Y hay algo que ocurrió hace unos 30 o 28 años con lo cual no había hecho la conexión hasta la semana pasada.
Anyways, you know how the size of the property here. Each year I would clean the bush like 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet.
Tú conoces el tamaño de la propiedad aquí, entonces en el pasado cada año limpiaría unos 10 pies, digamos que serían como 3 metros.
And at night I would run around the property.
Y en la noche correría por la propiedad.
One night after the day of cutting the trees, I'm running around the property and I seen a light on the ground. What the heck was that? I turn around and I see where the stump that I cut right to the ground, it was in the shape of an eagle and it was glowing.
Y un día, después de haber cortado los árboles que limpiaba porque eran de espinas y estaba corriendo en la noche, veo como un árbol a la base donde lo corté estaba brillando y tenía una forma de águila.
Anyways, I called everybody who was in the longhouse. This was maybe about 1, 2 in the morning. I called everybody. Everybody came and seen it.
Y le llamé a todo mundo que estaba en la casa larga, a lo mejor era la 1, las 2 de la mañana, pero les llamé para que vinieran a verlo.
There was a lot of people in Ganawage who seen that this tree, the stump in the ground, was glowing
Y hubo
bright.
mucha gente en Canahuague que pudo observar, ser testigo de que ese árbol justamente a la base donde fue cortado estaba brillando en la noche en forma de águila.
So we had the idea of, because I just cut the trees and I was pushing them in the bush and make a pile and burn them. So we had an idea. Let's go check that tree. I peeled the bark off the tree and the whole tree was glowing from top to bottom to the furthest, tiniest branch.
Y entonces tuve la idea de vamos a ir a checar el árbol porque hacía siempre una pila de todos los árboles que había cortado hacia la orilla de la propiedad. Entonces fui y efectivamente pelé la corteza del árbol y estaba todo brillando.
Anyways, just this week I was talking about it and I finally just come to realize I make a connection of 30 years ago with this week.
Y esta semana justamente estaba hablando de esto y entonces es así que hago una conexión del hoy con hace 30 años.
Of that, where this tree was glowing 30 years ago is precisely where I buried my father.
Que donde este árbol estaba brillando es precisamente en donde enterré a mi papá.
Didn't realize this until this week we're talking about it.
Y no me di cuenta de esto hasta esta semana que estábamos hablando de ello.
And so this thing is what is enabling us to get back into the rhythm of when you're born, your umbilical cord is in the garden. When you die, you're planted in that garden.
Y esta es entonces la realidad de cuando naces, se planta tu cordón umbilical en la tierra. Cuando mueres, eres tú el que es plantado en la tierra.
How could you be planted in that garden if there's a garden there?
¿Y cómo puede ser plantado en el jardín si ya hay un jardín?
Well, this shows our mother's management of the land.
Eso es lo que muestra cómo nuestra madre maneja la tierra.
Now, we will never know this or come to realize it until we are back in sync with that rhythm of putting an umbilical cord in the ground and knowing, well, that person's going to die maybe when they're 80 and we're going to bury them right there.
Y de eso no nos vamos a poder dar cuenta hasta que seamos capaces de enterrar el cordón umbilical de una personita que acaba de nacer y que después de 80 años lo vayamos a poder enterrar en el mismo lugar.
And how they're buried there, but not in an existing garden, is through the management of the mothers who, over this period of time, know when to identify. It's time for us to shift the garden. So we shift the garden over there now. And now where the umbilical cord was buried in that garden becomes the burial ground for those people who work that garden all their lives.
Y cómo ocurre esto es mediante justamente el manejo de nuestras madres, en el sentido de que cuando el jardín se encuentra ahí, los cordones umbilicales se plantan y después las madres saben que se va a tener que mover de lugar ese jardín para dejar que la tierra se regenere. Y eso significa que cuando la persona que ha trabajado ese jardín toda su vida le llegue el tiempo de fallecer, va a poder ser enterrada en el otro lugar en donde era el jardín donde se enterró su cordón, que ahora se vuelve el sitio de entierro para los que fallecen.
We don't know and understand the significance of such a cycle.
Y ya no podemos ver o entender el significado y la importancia de dicho ciclo.
But imagine if it was you within your line. You know where your parents' umbilical cord is buried.
Pero imaginen si se trata de ustedes y que ustedes no saben en dónde se encuentra enterrado el cordón umbilical de su mamá y de su papá.
And so you will know precisely where to bury them when it is their time to leave from this world.
Pero si lo supieran, sabrían exactamente en dónde enterrarles cuando se vayan de este mundo.
This is an alignment, a management of all the power and energy that you are, of the path that you are on with midwifery. It is directly connected to the management of all of these things.
Y esta es una alineación de toda la energía, de todos los elementos que se vinculan al trabajo de la partería.
So I could see in the mind of a midwife
Entonces yo veía claramente en la mente y el espíritu de una partera
that in this instance, yeah, there's a baby coming into their hands,
que en ese momento sí le está llegando un bebecito el que está entrando en sus manitas, en
But
las
in
manos de
that-
la partera.
in that instance, the midwife is living past, present, and future all at once.
Pero es en ese momento en que la partera está viviendo el pasado, el presente y el futuro al mismo tiempo.
She can see all of that.
Ella puede ver eso.
And this is the important role that midwives, which is basically all the women together are supposed to have this knowledge, this power to be able to do this for their daughters.
Y es el papel de las dadoras de vida, es decir, que todas las mujeres serían capaces de hacer esto por sus madres, por sus hijas.
But this is what's in the beautiful mind of such women, such life givers that are part of such a beautiful process.
Y eso es lo que se encuentra en la mente de las dadoras de vida que van a ser parte de un proceso tan bello como este.
And this is where the life protectors know that they must come in to complement this way, this knowledge.
Y es ahí también en donde los protectores de vida saben que tienen que venir para complementar y asistir este proceso, este conocimiento.
So the men have to make all of that happen, what is envisioned in the mind of the birthing mother, the one giving birth, who is in that instance living past, present, and future. It is the role of the men to affect all of that into being.
Entonces, para que las madres puedan seguir perpetuando la conexión entre el pasado, el presente y el futuro, bueno, ese es el papel de los protectores de vida, al garantizar que esto va a seguir siendo posible.
So we have to provide the garden first off.
Entonces, para empezar, tenemos que proporcionar el jardín.
We have to make sure that the baby's umbilical cord or placenta or blood is buried within that garden.
Y asegurarnos de que la placenta o el cordón umbilical del bebé es enterrado en el jardín.
We got to make sure that that baby is working that garden cyclically every year, just the exact same way that my two sons have.
Y asegurarnos de que el bebé va a seguir trabajando ese jardín de forma cíclica, de la misma forma en que mis hijos lo han hecho.
The men have to make sure that those children are living within love, within law.
Los hombres tienen que asegurarse que esos niños están viviendo según la ley y el amor,
So that when the time comes and they leave this world, that they will leave it properly, that they will be buried with the first part of the placenta or the umbilical cord that is buried in that garden.
para que cuando el tiempo llegue, todo el trabajo que han hecho en ese jardín con la placenta pueda ser complementado con el hecho de que ellos vayan a la tierra.
So when the men affect all of this into being, then what is in the mind of that midwife, of that grandmother, of that mother, is affected into being. The men make this happen, reality comes about.
Y cuando los hombres van a afectar esto, van a hacer que las madres sean capaces de poder vivir esa realidad, entonces la felicidad llega.
So the way I'm seeing it is before this cycle is able to be returned back to humanity,
Y cómo veo esto es que antes de que este ciclo pueda volver a la humanidad,
it will take a people approximately 80 years, maybe longer, hopefully not shorter, knock on wood, in order for this cycle to return.
a la gente le va a tomar aproximadamente unos 80 años, y bueno, toco madera, que a lo mejor sea antes, pero aproximadamente ese tiempo para que vuelva.
So right now, my line is approximately 60 to 65 years away from completing that cycle, from returning it once again to the people.
Entonces ahorita mi línea está a unos 60 y tantos años de poder completar ese ciclo y devolvérselo a la gente.
But I gotta tell you, since the time that we've had interaction, the communication on the levels that we do,
Y desde que hemos tenido el intercambio en los niveles que lo hacemos,
you have affected my understanding of this process.
tú has afectado mi entendimiento de este proceso.
Even just right up until this discussion right now, it is still, you are assisting the evolution of my knowledge of this process.
Hasta el momento de la discusión de ahorita, estás afectando mi conocimiento, mi evolución en este proceso.
Which I know is affecting my children,
Lo que sé que está afectando a mis hijos también.
because they are the ones that are, for within my line, the first ones who are going to be living back within that cyclical rhythm of buried in the earth soon as they're born, and then buried in the earth soon as they pass.
Porque son los primeros que van a afectar este ciclo en el sentido de que ellos fueron enterrando su cordón umbilical en la tierra cuando nacieron y van a poder volver a ser enterrados cuando se vayan.
In the same place together.
En el mismo lugar, juntos.
This is a beautiful cycle.
Eso es un ciclo hermoso.
Anyways, I thank you for everything that, what you are.
Entonces te agradezco por todo lo que eres.
There's a lot of times that we have spoken in the past that I know that sometimes, like in translation, we might wonder a little bit what each other is saying.
Y hay veces que yo sé que en el pasado nos hemos visto el uno al otro y podemos decir, ay, ¿qué estamos diciendo debido a la traducción, a la lengua?
But then there's that part of where it's, again, like that dog looking for that spot. And we find that feeling, that emotion, where we know we don't have to have words.
Pero luego es de nuevo como ese perrito que se va a poner a dar vueltas y que, bueno, no tenemos que hacer nada más que entendernos.
So how exciting is it for all of you to be together?
Entonces, qué gusto que todos estén juntos. I gotta say, I was looking a while ago, Dezirae and Valentina, you're sharing your coffee and you're even taking like stuff from her hair. It's like if you have known each other forever, it's just so beautiful to see. Y les digo que se ven tan lindas porque se acaban de conocer ayer y ya estaban compartiendo el café, Valentina y Dezirae le estaba quitando cositas del cabello. Eso es como si se conocieran por siempre.
It's so beautiful. I'm just thinking of at some point, maybe if not any one of you, at some point, maybe somebody that you know might be here in this area, and we would be doing the same thing with them.
Y seguramente si alguien de ustedes viniera para acá, pues estaríamos haciendo lo mismo.
Well, maybe not bringing a baby into the world, but having our energies together, helping each other.
Y tal vez no trayendo un bebé al mundo, pero trayendo nuestras energías juntas.
So what's on the schedule then?
Entonces, ¿qué tienes en el horario? ¿Qué ocurre? ¿Qué pasa?
We have to check out of this place by 1, and then we were going to drive to the coast. It's about 30 minutes away to Santa Cruz, and maybe take a walk down the boardwalk,
Beach board.
the beach boardwalk.
Tienen que salirse de ese lugar a la 1 de la tarde, que son las 4 de aquí, meaning 4 time here. Y después van a manejar una media hora para ir a la costa y idealmente tomarse una caminata por ahí en la costa.
Okay.
Yeah.
All four of you go together, or do you have to, Dezirae and Harold, do you have to, do you stay together? Or do
Together.
you-
Okay,
All right.
Y lo van a hacer juntos, los 4.
All right.
Um,
It has to be a really good feeling.
Bueno,
Since
sí, tiene que ser se debe de sentir muy bien lo que están viviendo ahorita.
there's one
4
in
years
Santa
in the
Cruz,
making.
one in San Jose that you're waiting. Oh,
Y dice Harold, ha estado pasando 2 años para que esto ocurra.
What did he say?
2 years in the making.
Yeah.
figured making-
Dezirae, how do you feel about this? What's in your heart? What's in your mind?
Dezirae, ¿tú cómo te sientes? ¿Qué se encuentra en tu corazón?
Hi, everyone. My name is Dezirae. I'm the daughter of Nebiat, Bertrico, and Hadas. I'm a temporary member of the Turtle Clan of the Life Givers Nation. So what's been on my heart and my mind has been kind of overwhelming, but it's just so perfect with this new moon. And I'll stop for translation.
Oh. Dezirae se presenta de forma matrilineal mencionando el nombre de su mami, su abuelita, su bisabuelita, diciendo que es miembro temporal de el clan de la tortuga, la nación de dadores de vida, y dice que ella se siente muy feliz y que ha estado como esperando por un tiempo.
Honestly, I feel like in learning the great law of peace and understanding just the definitions of like life giver, life protector, understanding the male and female energy of each moon cycle, it's really impacting our lives.
Y el hecho de poder seguir las enseñanzas de la casa larga, de la gran ley de la paz, poder entender los conceptos de lo que es ser una dadora de vida, de lo que es ser un protector de vida, el seguir los ciclos naturales de abuela luna, el entender que hay una luna con energía femenina y una luna con energía masculina, eso simplemente ha afectado nuestras vidas a una escala tan masiva.
Yeah, like Harold was saying, 4 years in the making. Just being with Valentina just seeing her and meeting her, and even though we spent hours together, like last night, it just felt every time it just felt unreal, and it's very powerful. It's very centering. It's very aligning in a lot of ways. Definitely more guiding, I guess, like in the direction of, I guess, like the bigger messages that Valentina and I feel like we're receiving in terms of like bringing back matrilinearity and our mother's authority back to them. Like the most fundamental way to us, it seems so apparent, is through midwifery and through that process, that restoring that, bringing back birth giving like properly. We're so dysfunctional in every single way. Like, I'll pause.
Entonces Valentina dice, sí, Valentina, Dezirae dice, sí, han sido 4 años en lo que hemos estado esperando que esto ocurriera. Entonces ayer nos quedamos platicando durante horas, es impresionante, es como, es así real. Y estuvimos recibiendo muchísimos mensajes de Valentina, y lo que entendemos es que es una guía en el sentido de decir, queremos que la matrilinealidad vuelva a este orden que es el verdadero, el natural. Entonces, esto lo vemos que pasa por la partería, que es el campo mayor y fundamental a partir del cual esa matrilinealidad puede volver, aparte de que es súper necesario que se pueda volver a las formas naturales de dar a luz, todo este ámbito de seguir a la madre, al bebé, acompañar, todo esto tiene que volver a su forma natural.
I think it's powerful to be an observer, especially like have that as your main trade. And like Valentina is such an observer herself, and myself, like we get to see all of the corruptions. And, you know, I feel like as a midwife, they're probably constantly aware, painfully aware of all the things that hinders, you know, bringing life into the world properly.
Y así como nosotras, como la comprensión, el entendimiento más profundo de lo que es ser una dadora de vida, podemos darnos cuenta cada vez más de las corrupciones que se encuentran en el mundo. Yo imagino que ser una partera es todavía estar todavía más consciente de una forma dolorosa de todas las corrupciones que impiden que este ciclo natural y la forma de vida vuelvan.
We've gotten to talk a lot about all of these different forms of corruption that, you know, really alter everyone's like life experiences because of the way they're brought into the world, or the way that mothers and fathers don't know how to, you know, we're taught how to parent a certain way or not to parent. There's just so many factors that go into, you know, preserving life, and even just having that, like when a mother gives birth, the images that here in the, you know, the West, English speaking people, we have this conception of birth as if it's like a painful experience for the mother. It's kind of like you just want to get rid of the child. And, you know, listening to Valentina talk, it seems more like it's a really beautiful process that, you know, bonds the mother and the baby, but it's not possible when you're being born in hospitals. That connection is severed immediately. Just understanding like how to like restore that proper birth giving process because of the relationship between the mother and the baby, and also, being able to plant the placenta is super important, a huge thing that is probably the most empowering in terms of us life givers managing the land, and managing the faces of the earth, managing everything just by returning the back and, returning that proper relationship with the mother and the baby.
Y entonces hemos tenido muchas ocasiones de hablar de todas esas corrupciones en el sentido de que, por ejemplo, aquí en el mundo occidental, en el oeste de este continente, se tiene esta concepción de que la mamá cuando da luz, lo primero es que hay que deshacerse del dolor y tiene que ya deshacerse del hijo. Es decir, hay toda una concepción bien distinta de lo que ocurre en un nacimiento, y muchas veces, a pesar de que se dé a luz de forma adecuada, la mamá y el papá han tenido concepciones preconcebidas de lo que es ser una buena madre, un buen padre o no, y después todo esto pone obstáculos en la forma de levantar, de criar a ese hijo. Entonces hay muchísimos obstáculos que impiden que esto se dé de forma natural.
Yeah, but besides the corruptions, we got to speak about a lot of other beautiful things.
Pero además de las corrupciones hablamos de un montón de cosas bonitas también.
Let's see, I'm blanking out. There's so many beautiful things we talked about.
I know one thing I learned from Valentina. She was saying that the the midwives, when they arrive before the birth, they will start a garden, I believe, at the home of the place where they're going to be helping the birth, and they do that. I believe she was saying, so the midwife has she imagines the plants that she's nurturing are the baby, or like similar to the baby that is going to be giving birth. So my interpretation was that they're trying to get in the same frame of mind, I'm guessing, as the mother who's about to give birth. So they nurture these plants in this garden to get in the same mentality.
Y una de las cosas que ya aprendí escuchando a Valentina es que cuando van a llegar al lugar en el que van a asistir el parto, van a plantar un jardín, y esto va a ser con la finalidad de poder ocuparse de las semillitas de las plantas de la misma forma en que la mamá va a ocuparse del bebé. Entonces es para ponerse en una especie de mismo espíritu de entendimiento y de lo que está ocurriendo en el momento.
Yeah, Freddy, there's a two-tier thing there.
Hay dos cosas en eso que acabas de mencionar, Freddy.
It's that, what you just said,
Esto que acabas de...
and then it's also that as the person is creating this garden, it's also that you want it to be nurtured, to be loving and healthy like the baby. But if there is anything wrong with the baby, anything wrong with the process, that the garden would be there to take that away. So that it's like an unseen helper in the process.
Es eso que acabas de decir, que va a ser para que la partera se ponga en el mismo espíritu de la madre en el ocuparse del jardín y del niño, pero también va a ser en el sentido de que si algo no estuviese funcionando de forma adecuada en el proceso, el jardín va a ser capaz de deshacerse de eso, la tierra va a podérselo llevar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what else is you guys got planned? What else is set up? I mean, Valentina, I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be tonight or tomorrow, right? That this baby is going to be ready to be born. So what do you have planned in this time while you are waiting?
¿Y qué más tienen planeado, Valentina? Estoy seguro de que no va a ser hoy que va a llegar el bebecito. Entonces, ¿qué más está en la agenda?
Bueno, pues I am kind of like assisting with Nancy, and she has a lot of work, so it's been a little bit tired because the rhythm, I mean, going into the rhythm of another midwife that she is right away, one appointment to the next appointment and driving a lot. So I've been just 1 week and I was like, ooh, super tired. And Edgar is always telling me, because with Edgar, we have this plan of start writing in about what we want, what we are going to speak about in the documentary in the project. So I'm trying to make some space also to put our ideas grounded, no? But I am very happy because we are very aligned about what we want to say. That yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah, we are like in the Longhas vision that of course midwifery is an fundamental it's a foundation of matrilineality, but also what we want to really talk about is about how we take care of life through all this knowledge or process that we live daily, like the midwives, no? So how really we take care of life, no?
Y bueno, ha sido como bien intenso porque he estado aquí una semana y estoy acompañando a Nancy, que es la partera de aquí, y ella ya tiene esta cita y esta otra, entonces agarro el carro y va y viene. Entonces, en toda esta semana ya estoy así como de, bien cansada, porque trae un ritmo bien intenso, pero y aparte, estoy tratando de poner y escribir las cosas que queremos hacer en el documental Edgar y yo. Entonces, es también poner la perspectiva de la casa larga, de la matrilinealidad. Entonces es trabajo también mental, de escritura, y bueno, es todo eso que estoy haciendo también.
3 per month.
I will still have a month here in this rhythm. So, well, when the baby that we're waiting in Santa Cruz born, maybe I will spend a little time with the family for the postpartum. That is a very, very important moment, the postpartum. And maybe I will stay with them in Santa Cruz, and let's see what happens if I have a chance more to travel a little bit more, or I'll just stay with Nancy the whole month. Let's see what happens, because in Nancy's house also there is a lot of people living there, all his family, no? So it's a little challenging, but it's nice. I'm learning a lot. I'm trying just to go on the flow with her rhythm.
Y bueno, cuando nazca el bebecito, que va a ser en Santa Cruz, también tengo planificado quedarme un poco más para el posparto. Y bueno, también es con donde me estoy quedando con Nancy, es un poco como vive toda su familia. Entonces, bueno, estoy como ajustándome al ritmo de todo lo que está pasando. Pero todo eso para decir que el posparto es un tiempo bien importante. Entonces, sí, quiero estar en ese periodo de acompañamiento.
You know, what's really beautiful about this is since the time that we've known you, that this is your direction, your path.
Lo que es hermoso de todo esto es que desde que te conocemos, este ha sido tu camino.
What makes it really special is that your age, that you are a young person, where most people at your age, they're pursuing, or they have been already pursuing, you know, their own personal, what they want, that kind of thing. But this is what makes it so beautiful, that a young person that maybe doesn't have somebody before them in their line, like to walk them into it, that is all of a sudden finds it within their heart and mind to be their way.
Y lo que lo hace bien especial es que eres una persona joven que decidió por sí misma el seguir este camino. Entonces, ¿cuánta gente a tu edad ya están yendo por sus ganancias personales y tú estás en este camino como bien comprometida? Entonces, a pesar tal vez de que no tuviste a alguien que te haya guiado en este camino directamente, bueno, tú fuiste la que siguió ese camino. Entonces, es algo bien digno de apreciarse.
This is how each of us in our different paths, that if we are consistent,
Y es así como cada uno de nosotros, si somos consistentes,
that we will have things along our path to gauge. If we're consistent, we see this person here, let's say when we're 5, and we see them when we're 15 and 25 and 35. Then as long as we are consistent on the path, we can then gauge a whole bunch of things that other people just can't gauge because lack of consistency.
es importante observar la consistencia. Por ejemplo, si observamos a una niña, niño a sus 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 años, vamos a poder observar su trayectoria y su consistencia. Y lo que ocurre hoy en la mayoría de los casos es que ya no hay formas de mantener esa consistencia.
This is why I don't even have to be there on the ground.
Y es por eso que ni siquiera tengo que estar ahí ahorita con ustedes.
Through knowing you and the time that we have known you,
conociéndote y con el tiempo en que te hemos conocido
and everything that has been shared,
y todo lo que ha sido compartido,
and to hear of the experience with the blood and burying that in the garden and what you have shared from that white male doctor, we can then gauge through you as to what the changes are, the shifts that are in fact happening.
y escuchar lo que acabas de contar con la experiencia de haber enterrado la sangre en la casa de este hombre blanco que al primero estaba reticente y después se transformó. Bueno, es nada más una forma de confirmar el camino que tienes y que es capaz de transformar.
We all know all the negatives that are happening all around.
Y bueno, sabemos que hay un montón de cosas negativas que están ocurriendo por todos lados.
As you know, we talk about these things all the time,
Y bueno, como saben, hablamos de eso todo el tiempo.
but it's not to just talk about negative and to be in negative. It's to talk about it to find solution, to affect change so that we are not like everyone else that is just on a slippery slope going down.
Pero no es nada más para hablar de lo malo y quedarse en lo malo, sino para estar conscientes de cuáles son los peligros y para no ir nada más en la bajadita, ¿no? Que nos lleva hacia un camino del cual no podemos salir.
So with everybody that we see on this path, when you're consistent, then we can all gauge together and we see a network building. It's beautiful to see 4 of you sitting there together, how we all come to know each of you, and that your trajectories may have been different, let's say from the time that you were little kids, and then all of a sudden, boom, to be here in this space and time. We see this network of love, of knowledge, of spirituality, of truth building.
Y entonces es súper lindo ver esta consistencia. Por ejemplo, verlos a los 4 ahí sentados así es como wow, ¿no? Porque cada uno a lo mejor cuando eran niños, pues nunca se hubiesen imaginado que tenían trayectorias que eventualmente harían que se encontraran de esta forma y que todo se produzca.
Just to see that there is 2 life protectors there with you, and to know that Dezirae, a life giver, is there with you in the mindset that everybody is in, we can see that it's like different what do you call this, ingredients in a recipe.
El hecho de ver a 2 protectores de vida que están ahí contigo y también ver a Dezirae que está contigo es como si se meten los ingredientes perfectos para una receta.
That in the end we know it's going to benefit us all.
Y que al final sabemos que le va a ayudar a todo el mundo.
We know that at some point, if and when we ever get out there, we know that this network, this coming together, this spirituality is going to push us to a greater level, a higher level.
Y sabemos que esta red que está creciendo hacia donde vayamos, bueno, nos va a empujar más hacia adelante, hacia arriba, como se le quiera decir.
And we know this is going to happen.
Y sabemos que esto está ocurriendo y va a ocurrir.
Just like as when Edith went back to her home to visit her mom and dad. When was that? 4 or 5 months ago? Over. How more than just a trip to see her mother and father, how it developed into become more than that, and to represent something spiritual, something physical change upon the land within the people.
Así como cuando Edith viajó en octubre a visitar a su mamá y a su papá, el viaje no fue nada más de eso, sino que se transformó en algo también de forma espiritual en la tierra.
Okay, anyways, I'll stop there and I'll say if there's anybody that has any thing you want to say to them in any interaction.
Y bueno, me voy a parar ahí, entonces diría si hay alguien que tenga algo que decir, que tengan alguna interacción o algo así.
If there's anyone, just raise your hand
Si hay alguien que quiere decir algo, nada más levanten su mano.
and we'll go through the, I guess Edith's going to manage that. Is Angel?
Allá.
Okay.
Y vamos a poder manejar eso. Well,
You-
there's nobody that raised their hand, but well, my name is Edith. I am the daughter of Soco, the granddaughter of Panchita, the great granddaughter of Celsa. I was born in Mexica territory, but from my mother's line, I am a Zapotec, and I am under the protection of the Wolf clan in this territory. Mi nombre es Edith, soy la hija de Soco, la nieta de Panchita, la bisnieta de Celsa. Nací en territorio mexica, pero por la línea de mis madres soy zapoteca. Y estoy aquí bajo la protección del clan del lobo de la Casa Larga en este territorio. I don't know, but I'm just seeing you all together and seeing how you are acting. And seriously, I have to say it again. It's like if you knew forever each other, you know? And it's a great thing to know because it's like if I can feel the love and the happiness that you are experiencing right now by being there all together. And I know what it represents, for example, for Freddy with the dream that he had and the question that he came to pose to the longhouse as to what can we do as life protectors to assist our mothers back into their natural seat of authority? So just the fact that a young life protector asked that question and that Valentina is like right there, like from his dream, immediately telling him, well, there you go, this is what you can do. It's like, I mean, we could say that it's magic. I don't know how else we could say it, you know, but it's real. The spirit of the land that is knowing that when there's neurons awakening ready to assist her, well, she's just gonna go along with it. So personally, I just want to say, yeah, I see the dance. It's happiness going on right there. The plants are growing. So yeah, yeah, I love you and I'm super happy that you are together. Entonces, bueno, les digo que los estoy viendo y veo cómo están interactuando y cómo están hablando como si se conocieran de toda la vida. Entonces se ve realmente el amor y la felicidad que está ocurriendo con ellos ahí. Y el hecho de que Freddy haya tenido un sueño sobre la partería y que haya venido a la Casa Larga a hacer la pregunta de qué pueden hacer los protectores de vida para asistir a que las madres vuelvan a su sitio natural que les corresponde de autoridad. Y que justo después de eso, ¡pum!, Valentina viaja allá y está diciéndole, bueno, ¿qué es lo que puedes hacer? Es como toda una serie de circunstancias que yo los llamaría magia, no sé de qué otra forma se puede llamar, pero es también para decir que cuando va a haber mujeres, hombres, dadoras de vida, protectores de vida como neuronas activadas para efectuar la curación que tiene que ser llevada a cabo para nuestra madre tierra, bueno, esa red va a establecerse y a crecer. Entonces, nada más para decir que estoy súper contenta que estén ustedes juntos, que me da una gran alegría y que los quiero un montón y eso es todo. And we see that there's 2 hands already up, so we're gonna go with Super Elsa. She's super
My name is Elsa, daughter of Lison, granddaughter of Leak, granddaughter of Valentina. I'm from Webenigan Nation, and in Lark Givers Nation, I'm a temporary bear clan member.
Elsa se presenta de forma matrilineal, presentando a su mami, a su abuelita, su bisabuelita y diciendo que es miembro temporal del clan del oso en la Nación de Dadoras de Vida.
And wow, seeing all of you together, I'm so proud, so happy.
Y el hecho de que juntos está súper feliz ella también. Go ahead, Elsa. Oh, okay. she's emotional. She's happy, so happy. That her heart is gonna burn.
I got emotions because having met you, Valentina.
Y tengo emociones porque como yo te conocí, Valentina.
Having met you, Valentina, in 2017.
En el recital de la ley de 2017, cuando viniste a la Casa Larga.
and saying use being together. It's a bit like little bit of me.
Y viéndoles juntos, pues, bueno, me causa mucho, mucho.
A little bit of me is in California.
Es como que una partecita de mí también está con ustedes allá en California.
And I will just say, and okay, now I know it's fast. So I will just say that like Stuart said, I will just say that what makes me proud, I see, like Stuart said, I see in this meaning of use balanced recipe, a balanced manifestation. So I'm really proud.
Y como Stuart dijo, el hecho de que están ustedes juntos ve una especie de manifestación real. Entonces estoy bien orgullosa de todos ustedes.
Thank you, Edith.
Thank you.
This is so beautiful. We have to comprehend what this actually means.
Y es tan hermoso que tenemos que entender lo que significa realmente.
We have to put it into perspective.
Y hay que ponerlo en perspectiva.
Right now, everyone on earth turns on the TV, listens to the news or the radio, and hears about, this is the advancements of war. This is what's going on with AI. This is the latest rocket that's exploding and trying to lunar development.
Y hoy, cuando la gente prende la tele, van a ver, estas son las noticias, estos son los nuevos desarrollos que han ocurrido en la guerra, esto es la nueva tecnología que tenemos para ir a destruir, para hacer minería en el espacio.
So everybody's at home, wherever they are on Earth, and they're getting messages coming back to them from the front lines of destruction on every level of what's happening on Earth.
Y en donde sea que la gente se encuentre en la Tierra es lo mismo, entonces todo el mundo está recibiendo constantemente mensajes de guerra que les alteran completamente.
There's a whole infrastructure, television networks, news anchors, the whole process that it takes to make all of this happen, to bring you information off of the front lines of negativity, to put it into everybody's minds.
Hay toda una infraestructura a nivel mundial, todas las cadenas de televisión, de noticias, todas las personas que trabajan para eso, las anclas que les llaman, todo para traerles las noticias de la destrucción y de la guerra que está ocurriendo en el mundo.
Today, just we, within this closed network of communication,
Y hoy en esta red cerrada de comunicación,
are receiving the good news from the front lines of love.
estamos recibiendo las buenas noticias de las líneas de frente del amor.
It's something that doesn't happen. It's not disseminated into the world.
Es algo que no ocurre y que no es difundido en el mundo.
So here you are diametrically opposite from the negative of war and male dominance, all the corruption that's happening in every aspect of our human experience.
Entonces aquí está toda la destrucción, la guerra, todo aquello que hace que nuestra experiencia humana se vuelva cada vez más negativa
And you're swimming against that current.
y están nadando en contra de esa corriente.
That takes a lot of strength.
Se necesita mucha fuerza.
And yet, through all of that, you can send back to us, to wherever we are, news from the front lines of love.
Y a pesar de todo eso, en donde están, todavía nos pueden enviar las buenas noticias de las líneas del frente del amor.
I know, because I know Elsa, that this is why she's so emotional over this.
Y yo sé, porque conozco a Elsa, que es por eso que está tan emocionada con esto.
That we're really all maybe just want to just keep talking, just to keep this link, just to keep that love there even longer.
Y que queremos nada más así como seguir hablando para que este amor siga estando ahí sostenido.
This is a happy time for all of us right now.
Este es un momento bien feliz para todo el mundo ahorita.
This is the type of thing, the infrastructure that the world needs to create so that we get the good news from the front lines of love.
Y es el tipo de infraestructura que el mundo tiene que crear, que podamos recibir las buenas noticias de las líneas del frente del amor.
All we're hearing about is AI, digital currencies, rockets exploding, war, something happening to the economy, something happening in the medical industry. We're only hearing all of these negatives constantly.
Porque todo lo que oímos es la inteligencia artificial, las monedas electrónicas, este cohete explotaron esta bomba, esto está pasando en la guerra, todo ese tipo de destrucción.
And everybody in the non-native world together has created this infrastructure so that you have an intravenous of negative going into your heart and mind constantly, 24 hours a day.
Y esto es para que todo mundo mediante las noticias tenga una intravenosa constante de desesperanza, de destrucción, 24 horas sobre 24.
But as you see in the design of matrilineal, it is designed for love.
Pero como ven, en el diseño de la matrilinearidad está diseñada para el amor.
And in maintaining on our path together, we have created a network, just like a television network, that can convey this to us from the front lines, wherever they may be.
Y manteniendo esto, nos ha permitido crear una red para darnos estas noticias del amor en donde sea que se encuentren.
This is the power of our mothers of matrilineal authority.
Ese es el poder de las madres, de la autoridad matrilineal.
If all of our mothers' sons would follow our mothers and make their mothers happy, everyone would be engaged in precisely this process.
Y si todo el mundo estuviera implicado en el amor de nuestras madres, en hacer el que su autoridad vuelva, todo el mundo estaría implicado en un proceso similar a eso.
So I can see the emotion in Elsa and know and understand why.
Entonces puedo ver la emoción en Elsa y saber y entender por qué.
And I know that you can see and feel that also, Valentina.
Y sé que también puedes sentir eso, Valentina.
So we are, even though we're not even close to each other, we're not in the same vicinity, we're within the same sentiment right now. We're within the same energy, the same feeling. We're able to convey it. What Elsa is feeling, you are feeling. The life protectors are feeling. This is a great moment.
Y entonces, a pesar de que no estamos en el mismo sitio, este amor, esto se transmite y lo que Elsa siente se les transmite a ustedes, lo que ustedes sienten se transmite aquí y es algo que es entre dadoras de vida y protectores de vida también.
For me, I'll tell you what I have a parallel for this. And you see, like in this past week, we had 3 different schools, daycares that we were at with a whole bunch of 4 or 5-year-olds all week long, each day.
Y el paralelo que hago es en esta semana pasada justamente tuvimos 3 guarderías en las que visitamos con niñitos de 4, 5 años de edad, inclusive de 3, y entonces era un día tras otro.
And some of these young people say to us things that they remember. They remembered the songs. They remembered Skanagoa. They remembered Ona. When we were with those children, this is like the same feeling, the same sentiment as is in this great moment right now.
Que cuando estos pequeñitos volvemos a su guardería, se acuerdan completamente de las canciones que cantamos, se acuerdan de Stanagoa, se acuerdan de Ona, entonces es el mismo sentimiento que se vive con ellos que el que estamos viviendo ahorita.
So we acknowledge and we give thanks for the things that we get to experience together.
Entonces reconocemos y damos gracias por lo que podemos vivir, experimentar juntos.
How lucky we are when we consider how everyone else is in the world. 8 billion people, all some crazy way, but yet here we are able to force our mother's will into this world to create this network of love.
Qué tan afortunados somos de saber que el mundo está en otro tipo de energía y aquí estamos empujando el amor de nuestras madres hacia el frente.
It is, I can see Elsa's emotion. I can feel it.
Puedo ver y sentir la emoción de él.
And again, we give thanks collectively to Saoyerda for this great power that flows between all things that we can find our root within it. We can grab onto that thing and we can find our way.
Y le damos gracias a Saoyera, la energía femenina de la creación que nos permite ver el lugar en el que estamos, agarrar lo que es necesario y seguir en nuestro camino.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Anything that any of you want to say, want to address? Was there anybody else had their hand up, want to ask something? Okay, we'll go to that person. I can't see who it is. I don't know who it is.
También está Kelly que levantó su manita. Gracias, Angel. There's also Kelly that raised her hand.
This is so beautiful. I'm Kelly, daughter of Beverly, granddaughter of Betty, great-granddaughter of Jeannie. I'm a temporary member in the Bear Clan. Elsa, your deep emotion, it gave me actually the words that are in my heart. And that is that these beautiful children, like our young people coming together, and this process of coming back into the way we're supposed to be birthed in this world is healing. You know, what got broken in us, and reconnecting us to our Mother Earth. You know, my twin and I, we ended up being preemies and we were separated. And it made me think that this is the beginning of maybe why we have this separation, that as we've gotten older, when we lost our mom, this brokenness came between us. And I think that for me, when I see you beautiful young people, it's every time I've seen all of you together, it affects this grandmother in me. And I think that's I can speak for all of us older women, to the grandmother in me, to see that and this is where I want to cry, because, you know, because I work with children for 25 years, and to see what's happening in the world for children, you know, it brings, I won't fear, but it wants me to fear what's going to happen when I'm gone, and who's going to be watching out for the young moms. And so every time I see you together, I just go, okay, I don't have to worry. And then just to also brought up, as I'm working with these beautiful to return to working with these beautiful young women, I know this whole day right here is so, I mean, the recording, I can't wait to share with them, because it just, everything everyone has said and has been presented is exactly what our beautiful young women need to hear, so that they know how sacred they are, and sacred their birthings are and will be, or will be and are. And yeah, I'm just so happy. And yeah.
Kelly también se presenta de forma matrilineal, mencionando la línea de sangre de su mami. Dice que es miembro temporal del clan del oso de la Nación de Dadoras de Vida. Y también dice que la emoción de Elsa es la que de hecho le permite poner las palabras que estaban en su corazón, y es que ella ha visto, por haber trabajado 25 años con los niños, a qué grado los niños están en una posición de vulnerabilidad, y ella como cuando ya avanza en edad, se da cuenta de esta abuelita en ella que está preocupada por los niños. ¿Qué va a pasar cuando ella se vaya, cuando ya no pueda defender a los niños? Entonces, verles a ustedes en esta capacidad, esta belleza que tienen, le da esperanza y les deja pensar, bueno, está bien, todo va a estar bien. Y también le hace pensar que ella cuando nació, ella nació con su gemela y fueron prematuras. Entonces se separaron en el nacimiento y piensa que tal vez eso es una de las causas por las cuales cuando su mamá falleció, ambas se separaron, como que fueron cada quien por su lado, no pudieron construir ese vínculo. Entonces ella sabe efectivamente que el trabajo de la partería y lo que están haciendo juntos, esta grupo fenomenal de jóvenes activos, bueno, es realmente necesario y eso es lo que ya tiene ganas de poder compartir este video con las jóvenes madres que ella, con las que trabaja, que guía, porque es exactamente todo lo que acaba de ser dicho en este día, lo que ellas tienen que escuchar para darse cuenta de la belleza que portan, de lo sagrado que son, el proceso tan sagrado de poder dar a luz, de lo que viene antes, de lo que viene después. Eso es lo que todo mundo tiene que recordar.
Okay, well, there's one, as we see, any interaction always has benefits to it.
Y como sabemos, cada interacción siempre va a tener beneficios.
And at least now I know we can safely refer to Kelly as an elder, as an older woman.
Y ahora al menos sé que me puedo referir a Kelly como una persona mayor.
You all heard it, she said it, not me.
Y ustedes la escucharon decirlo, no soy yo quien lo dice.
But some of this parallels you could see is like last year when we had the law recital, when we met physically Kelly, when we met Wendy, when we already met others, Merrick was already here before, you know, in the past, but when we do get back together, like to see and to meet everybody, it was a beautiful coming together, because there is, of course, through our interactions, we know of what the hope is, that what the purpose is of coming together.
Y bueno, sabemos que cuando a Kelly la conocimos el verano pasado, pues y conocimos a Kelly, a Wendy también por primera vez, a Mer, ya lo habíamos conocido antes, pero cuando nos encontramos de salir de la pantalla y vernos por primera vez de forma física es algo que es fenomenal. Entonces, eso es lo que se siente ahorita también.
Okay, old lady.
Hold on. You just reactivated the kid in me, okay? I'm going back to 8 years old when I started challenging the world.
Dice Kelly, pues por haberme dicho viejita, acabas de reactivar mi niña en mí. Ahora tengo 8 años. There's Marita that wants to say something, and they have to leave at 4 and it's 10 to 4.
Oh, here, you stay there. You stay there because you got a translate.
Can I go, Valentina, Dezirae, Harold, Freddy, and what's the Edgar, everybody. I'm Marie-Claude. I am the great-granddaughter of Marie-Louise, granddaughter of Yvette, daughter of Francine, temporary Bear Clan representative in the Life Givers Nation. I'm going to repeat here, but I'm just wanting to share the love. It's just so beautiful to watch. It's dreams coming together. All of those beautiful dreams that everybody had in their heart. Valentina, you're the first, you know, like you'd have that dream of like bringing, you know, these beautiful children the proper way in the world. This just is such a beautiful work. It touches our heart because then that's the seed being planted for the world that we want to see emerge. And, you know, everybody in support. I'm thinking of you, Dezirae, so much because I remember you say, oh, wow, you know, I'd love to just learn about this, you know, too. And there's happening. So just a big thank you. And I also wanted to just be here because I'm often, you know, just off screen and I followed you so much, Valentina. All your progression is just really so beautiful. So thank you, everyone, for this beautiful thing.
Y dice Marito, bueno, se presenta de forma matrilineal mencionando su línea materna, diciendo que es representante temporal del clan del oso en la Nación de Dadoras de Vida. Y dice, bueno, voy a tener que repetir, pero realmente nada más quiero decir que tan hermoso es verles juntos y bueno, esto es como los sueños vienen juntos, en el sentido de que Valentina, empezaste tú a soñar el cómo hacer que los niños puedan llegar al mundo de una forma natural y sagrada, y es los sueños de todo mundo. Dezirae como cuando ella aprendió acerca de la partería, dijo, ay, me encantaría aprender, quiero ser una partera. Entonces, es toda esta emoción, este amor, esta belleza que está ahí. Entonces, Marie-Claude seguido está como fuera de la pantalla. Ahorita quería absolutamente estar aquí para que esto quede de constate de que el amor y la belleza está aquí y agradecer por eso.
Okay, so it's almost time, huh? What time is it?
Almost 4.
You just have to leave very soon? Okay, so very clearly, you know that there is something that together, all of you, something that Valentina on her own, but something that each of you represent for the rest of us and for others beyond what we can see.
Y bueno, sabemos que ya tienen que irse porque tienen que dejar ese lugar, pero nada más para decir que lo que tú representas, Valentina, lo que ustedes juntos representan, todo esto tiene una significación muy importante para todos.
You represent hope.
Representan la esperanza.
You represent some level of truth in this world that people are looking for that is missing in their lives.
Un nivel de verdad que a la gente le falta en su vida y que lo ven en ustedes.
And the story of just the path that you're on is what people need to hear in order to give them that hope, that sense of love in their life.
Y la historia del camino en el que ustedes se encuentran, solamente escucharlo ya les puede dar más esperanza en su vida.
So as you heard earlier, Edith's been on this kick lately of calling people super, she calls my son super haha, super Elsa.
Not
You-
everybody though, not everybody.
You are, literally, you are walking the path of a superhero.
Y Edith últimamente se ha puesto a llamarle súper a la gente, súper jaja a su hijo porque sí lo es, súper Elsa porque sí lo es, digo, no todo el mundo, pero ustedes son los superhéroes.
And everybody that's a part of you, a part of this, supporting this, Edgar, in whatever way he sees that he's got to bring this message of love to the world. Everyone is a part of supporting this, of respecting, honoring you for the love that you are bringing into this world.
Entonces, Edgar, que está apoyando eso también, es decir, es toda parte de una interesa, ¿no? De traer este amor de vuelta al mundo.
And it feels great
Y se siente,
just to be next to that, just to be associated, just to be able to say, I was a part of that. I seen it.
y se siente súper bien el hecho de saber, nada más de estar ahí al ladito y de decir, yo lo vi e hice parte de eso.
So we could sit here forever and just look at each other and be happy, but we know that you've got to go. We have to move on too.
Y bueno, seguro que podríamos quedarnos aquí viéndonos los unos a los otros nada más, queriendo no dejarnos ir, pero bueno, sabemos que ustedes tienen que irse.
So each of you, any final closing statements? Valentina, we start with you. Anything you want to say to the world?
Entonces, de todos ustedes, algunas últimas palabras que quieran decir. Valentina, empezamos contigo.
I am learning a lot with them. I feel that the importance that ancestrality comes also to know how to navigate with different tools, and I feel that something is going up very fast in this world, and ancestrality cannot go on the back, you know, like siento que como que el conocimiento ancestral se tiene que adecuar al tiempo de ahora y al tiempo del futuro, y conociendo y aprendiendo mucho de ellos, que están como utilizando herramientas, tecnología, pero también para el servicio de la vida. Me parece tan importante que podamos como no como utilizar estas herramientas, saber cómo utilizarlas, y me parece maravilloso estar con gente joven, porque siento que, como dicen, ¿no? Como sí, es como la continuidad también, y cómo podemos sembrar esto en otros diferentes espacios. Pero más que nada estoy muy agradecida que haya tanto interés por la partería, ¿no? En los hombres cuidadores de vida también, ¿no?
So the fact that they are working with different new technologies is also as to how these new technologies can assist the ancestrality, because we cannot say like the ancestrality is like the old is in the past or it lives behind. The ancestrality can use those tools so we can learn to navigate how we continue evolving in the world. So I also feel super happy to be here with younger people, in the sense that yes, it is like the continuity of like, and especially I feel so like grateful that there is so much interest about midwifery, about the natural way of delivering babies and everything that comes with it, and that it is the life protectors, the young ones, that are concerned and ready to work so hard for this to come back.
Freddy?
I must say it's a different energy being in her presence, as opposed to, you know, the curiosity that that I had just through hearing her speak on the Zooms.
Tengo que decir que el hecho de estar en su presencia es una energía bien distinta, completamente diferente al hecho de haberla escuchado hablar en los Zooms.
And over the last, I would say, month, I've been doing my best to try to watch the law recital videos from last year.
Y en el último mes he estado tratando de ver todos los videos del recital de la paz que ocurrió el año pasado.
And on one of those days, Stuart, you were talking about that the birth of your son, the birth of your children, is what was able to pull you out of the path that you were on in terms of ironworking and being a part of the normal society.
Y en uno de esos videos, Stuart, tú dices un día que fue gracias al nacimiento de tus hijos que tú te pudiste sacar a ti mismo de seguir siendo un trabajador del acero y seguir en estas normas que te había impuesto la sociedad.
And that was something that really resonated with me, because it feels like my daughter is growing up so fast already. She's already going to be 3 this year.
Y es algo que realmente resonó conmigo porque mi hija está creciendo tan rápido. Este año ya va a tener 3 años.
And so I think that your story it just really resonated with me, because I have that feeling as well, where I feel like when I see her, I just want to make sure that we can build these networks and this future where the parents and the children can spend as much time together as they're supposed to, rather than having to go off to work and be away from your child in order to provide for them and protect them.
Y es algo que resonó tanto conmigo porque yo siento que cuando la veo a ella, mi hija, siento que podemos construir estas redes y que podemos hacer el cambio, en el sentido de que, como tú decías, no tiene ningún sentido el que salgamos, que tengamos que abandonar a la familia para poder darles el sustento, siendo que la construcción de esto permite que podamos pasar más tiempo con nuestra familia, con nuestra gente.
And so for me, the less time I spend thinking about how I can protect her in this current society, and thinking about how I can get closer to the time where I can protect her without sacrificing time with her, is something that really keeps me full of energy. And then just seeing how the more I step into this vision, the universe kind of rewards me with the connections I need to sustain my the good mind.
Y el hecho de que yo la vea a ella y que sepa que tengo que hacer lo necesario para construir este mundo en el que me permita estar pasando más tiempo con ella en lugar de lejos de ella, eso me mantiene lleno de energía y es lo que me permite también seguir concentrado en el buen espíritu para poder seguir enfocado en el trabajo que se necesita.
And so that's something I had been wanting to share with you, Stuart, that's been on my mind is if like I guess like a switch that clicks when you fully assume that role as life protector, when you actually help to bring life into this world. It's a different chemical maybe in the brain. I'm not sure, but I know I felt that you understood what I was struggling to communicate, and that really helped me.
Entonces siento que hay un momento en que se hace una especie de clic en alguna parte del protector de vida, en el sentido que cuando tú hablaste de eso, en la forma en que lo hiciste, me hizo conectar a mí en algo que yo estaba pasando como una especie de dificultad, pero que le pusiste palabras enteras. Entonces creo que cuando uno se puede asumir literalmente en su completud como protector de vida, bueno, tal vez sea un químico diferente en el cerebro, o no sé cómo lo pueda decir, pero esto es lo que está ocurriendo.
And so it gives me her being here and sharing her experiences with Nancine, and seeing that there is a lot of interest here in this part of the world in traditional midwifery. Yeah, that also gives us hope that we have the ability to collaborate more in the future here.
Y el hecho de que ella esté aquí y que también nos comparte el trabajo que está haciendo con Nancine, que tal vez podamos tener una vinculación con ella, bueno, nos hace ver que tenemos todavía más herramientas para hacer este trabajo.
So thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Longhouse. I'll let Dezirae speak.
Entonces,
Yeah, well, go on. Before we go to Dezirae, just to throw this in there, when my sons were born, I invested all kinds of time, money, energy in creating like a heaven on earth for them here on the property.
y antes de pasar a Dezirae, nada más decirte que cuando mis hijos nacieron, efectivamente invertí todo tipo de dinero, tiempo, todo lo que tenía para crear una especie de cielo en la tierra para ellos aquí en la propiedad.
I thought of what would be the perfect scenario for a child to grow up in.
Pensé, ¿cuál sería el escenario perfecto para que un niño pueda crecer en eso?
What would I have liked?
¿Qué me habría gustado?
And so I invested all of this time, money, energy in doing things that I didn't even know, that I wasn't certain of. I bought them ponies.
Entonces invertí todo tipo de dinero, de tiempo en cosas que ni siquiera sabía que haría. Les compré ponis, por ejemplo,
So that I can ride them to school on their ponies every day.
para que pudiera llevarlos en ponis a la escuela a diario.
For myself, I think that this would have been the greatest thing if I would have experienced that as a child, to have my father walk me to school on my pony.
Porque creí que para mí habría sido la experiencia más bonita si mi papá me hubiese llevado a la escuela en pony a diario.
So I'm thinking the benefit of it is to the child.
Y pienso que el beneficio de esto es para el niño.
Whenever we do anything to benefit our children, we receive the benefits tenfold.
Cuando hacemos algo para beneficiar a nuestros hijos, recibimos los beneficios 10 veces más.
So I can't say how much of that memory is in my children's minds,
Entonces no puedo decir qué tanto de este recuerdo se encuentra en la mente de mis hijos,
but it's in my mind.
pero en la mía sí está.
I have happiness in my mind. I walk my children to school every day on their pony.
Yo tengo felicidad de esos recuerdos de haber llevado a mis hijos a la escuela en pony.
I made sure that I was home every day at lunch for them, to make them lunch, to play with them.
Y me aseguré de que a diario estaría a mediodía en la casa para hacerles un lonche y jugar con ellos.
I made sure that I was able to be with my children every day.
Y estaba con ellos a diario.
And not just when I get home from work. I was with them every day.
no solo cuando llegaba del trabajo, sino todos los días.
This was like the way that I spent my life with my father. Pretty much every day of my life, I lived with my father.
Así como pasaba tiempo con mi papá, casi cada día de mi vida viví con él.
And I come to realize that matrilinearity is more of the mothers being able to be comfortable that the fathers are with their sons.
Y me doy cuenta que la matrilinealidad tiene mucho que ver más con la capacidad de que las madres se encuentren a gusto con sus bebés que los hombres estén con sus hijos.
The only thing that all of us got to remember is that at the end of our day, the only thing you're going to have is your memories.
Y hay que saber que al final del día lo único que se va a tener son los recuerdos.
What kind of memories are everybody going to have 40 hours a week in an office, 20 hours a week in rush hour traffic? When they get home, they don't have the time or the patience for their children.
¿Qué tipo de recuerdos va a tener la gente que pasa 40 horas a la semana en una oficina, 20 horas de su vida en transporte y que cuando llegan a la casa no tienen ni la energía ni la paciencia para poder disfrutar con sus hijos?
On this path of male dominance, we nourish heartbreak.
En este camino de la dominación masculina nutrimos el que los corazones se rompan.
At the end of your day, you focus all of your love on your daughter. At the end of your day, you're going to have memories full in your head. You're going to have love bursting out of your heart.
Pero si al final del día dedicas todo tu amor y tu energía en tu hija, al final de tu vida vas a tener una cantidad de recuerdos impresionantes que van a llenarte el corazón de amor.
Dezirae?
Dezirae.
I wanted to say, what got to Noonie, we're so happy. It's just so much like you said, it looks like we're happy together. We are even more happy than that. Okay. Our hearts are like so filled, and it's really just now a go into the Longhouse for, connecting us and guiding us, and imagine the trajectory of our lives. Before this, I was like a Christian, and, I'm glad I was able to, listen to my heart and find the things that really matter. And I'm sure they feel the same way. So now going for correcting our lives and, keeping us on the right path, because, in a lot of ways, everyone else failed us in direction wise. So now go.
Dezirae nada más está súper feliz y dice, ustedes nos ven felices, bueno, estamos todavía mucho más felices de lo que se puede percibir y bueno, agradece mucho por su trayectoria en el sentido de que antes de encontrar la casa larga, ella era una cristiana y bueno, el hecho de que haya podido encontrar esa vocecita en su corazón que le permitió seguir la guía, entonces agradece mucho a la casa larga por la guía, porque en el pasado pues hubo muchas fallas en que la hayan podido guiar hacia la buena dirección, entonces de nuevo, muchas gracias.
Yeah, we'll go on. Harold?
Me, personally, I've just been learning, trying to learn, what Valentina was up to, what she was doing here, further than what we already knew, and got a lot more insight there, into like the actual methods and, like you heard earlier, the story that you heard earlier, beautiful insight, into her world and how she perceives it, and some of the intricacies of it. I was, that was one of the precious things I was waiting to hear. Also learning, some other things that I've been, wanting to talk about with Valentina, things like projects in Chiapas, like El Capalache, right, which I was able to surprise her and ask her about, and we were able to at least open up those directions and roads and understandings of each other in terms of networks where she is. Visions of midwifery in general, from her vision, that is, learning what that means, away from Mexico, what it means in Mexico, learning what her vision is at home. One of the more recent, things that she relays to us is a vision for just a safe place for young girls to come and learn midwifery. these are the things that I wanted to learn. These are the things that we're learning. And what it does is it informs us as how to best support what is her vision, right? This powerful vision of bringing midwives back to the center of community. And, we couldn't ask for anything more in terms of what she's been able to teach us. She's like she's in teacher mode the entire time. And no, it's been, every bit as precious as we thought it would be. And we're also learning exactly what both her and Edgar's vision is for the documentary. Where she is in terms of approaching that, how she's approaching that. And it'll be beautiful to, stay connected and understanding, where she left off, where she is left off in her vision. The same reason why we tune in, weekly to the Longhouse, we have to stay up to date of everybody's vision so that we know how to support it, right? This is a big piece of being good medicines to each other, right? So, couldn't be happier. Now we're going for the direction. Now we're going for Valentina and everybody here.
Harold nos dice que está obviamente súper feliz porque ha estado completamente en modo de estudiante, es decir, Valentina ha sido la perfecta maestra desde que llegó y es el tiempo constante, eso es lo que hace. Y él, de hecho, ha hecho investigación en lo que está ocurriendo en San Cristóbal y de hecho le preguntó a Valentina acerca de un proyecto, lo cual la sorprendió. Entonces eso ha abierto unos caminos para saber que hay realmente un interés en el que se pueda apoyar lo que está ocurriendo allá y también poder saber de qué mejor apoyar. Harold por eso sabe que tiene que estar en constante contacto con la Casa Larga para saber qué es necesariamente lo que se está trabajando y qué se tiene que apoyar más. Entonces, como la historia que escuchaste hace ratito en la que contaba lo que pasó, bueno, ese fue como una ventana maravillosa al mundo de Valentina. Entonces, así como eso, tiene tantísimas experiencias, tantísimas historias que contar. Entonces, toda esta experiencia ha sido súper enriquecedora y nada más está en gratitud inmensa por todo.
Wow. When we all plant seeds together, we all work the garden together, we find that we get a beautiful garden.
Cuando todos plantamos las semillas y las trabajamos, sabemos que va a haber un jardín súper bonito.
Okay, it brings us to Edgar. There's one final piece of the puzzle here.
He
with
just
Edgar.
looked off, so I don't know if
Oh, he's not there
right now. There's something.
Ah, geez whiz. Okay, well, we know that you've got to get going. We have to get going also. Like I said, we want to just stay here and relish this, but we have to say Nyawagoa, Gananokwa, Danzijadatka.
Y nos faltó Edgar, pero vimos que se desconectó, entonces qué pena, pero bueno, sabemos que querríamos seguir aquí hablando y estando juntos durante horas, pero sabemos que ustedes se tienen que ir, entonces nada más de nuevo agradecer, decirles que les amamos un montón y bueno, que nos vemos la próxima.
We celebrate you. We're all having a party. We're going to celebrate you. We're going to feel this for the rest of the day, rest of the night until tomorrow morning. And then we start all over again.
Estamos en modo de celebración, les vamos a celebrar hoy en la noche, hasta mañana en la mañana y luego otra vez.
Enjoy your time together, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Disfruten su tiempo y les vemos prontito.
Wow, we wish we were there. Okay, what the heck we're gonna do after that?
Go celebrate.
Everybody left.
Okay, see you later. All right, that's it. What could we do after that? What could we do? That's like trying to do something after the greatest thing you ever heard.
¿Qué podemos hacer después? Es como, bueno, pues ya hay que irnos porque acabamos de escuchar lo mejor del mundo.
Okay, well,
Hang on, I see that Elsa raised her hand.
yeah, let's take a moment to reflect on this. So, Elsa has her hand raised. Let's go to Elsa.
Entonces vemos que Elsa levantó su manita, entonces vamos con ella.
But I was just for you to open your gift.
Ah,
Para que abra el regalo, dice Elsa.
I forgot about that. Where the heck is it?
Dice Stuart, se me olvidó en dónde está.
Where did I put it? Where is it?
¿En dónde lo puse?
Where is it? Where did I put it? You brought it in. You gotta remind me, what was the name?
The square bucks.
Se está buscando el regalo. We're looking for the gift.
Elsa, can you remind me what this box looked like?
¿A qué se parece la
It was, I think it was gray and black.
Creo que era gris y blanco.
Maybe 4 inches by 7 inches.
Tal vez 4 por 7 pulgadas.
Maybe a bit bigger.
Tal vez un poquito más grande.
Maybe in the vehicle? Back out? Oh, my goodness.
Que sigue buscando el regalo.
Remember bringing this
Keeping
back out?
looking for the gift.
Back up, I don't remember. Did I have it in something? Oh, my goodness, where is it?
You put it in your bag.
Oh, no, it's in my bag. Is it? Okay, I have to go out in the vehicle and take a look.
Tiene que salir para buscarlo.
So maybe, Peter can tell you stories now.
Entonces ahora Stuart quiere que les cuente una historia.
Oh, it might be in the
What
bag.
story should I say? No se me ocurre ninguna. Elsa, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling much better.
Okay.
I think it was a mix. Maybe I got a virus, but also I think it was digestion problem because I ate salmon and I think my body this morning felt okay, finally relieved from whatever was poisoning me, food poisoning.
Le pregunto a Elsa que cómo se siente porque en el último par de días se sentía un poquito enfermita y fue de la panza. Entonces dice que se siente mucho mejor y que lo que cree es que fue lo que se llama envenenamiento por la comida porque comió salmón. Entonces eso le afectó, pero ya hoy su pancita está mucho mejor. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You were drinking a lot of water and taking care of yourself. Le digo que tuvo que tomar mucha agüita y cuidarse para recuperarse. Me too, I feel much better because I have been having this, like it has been lasting for a while. Like I got sick, I got better, then it got again like that, but it's going better today.
Seriously, during these 2 days though, I felt, it's a mix because now my stomach is good and I feel much better. But also I had this craving nose. So that's why I'm saying, maybe I got a virus too. And what I noticed is that, it started, I felt it in my throat Thursday night and Friday morning. And Friday all day, I was taking echinacea, elderberries, drinking lots. I had chamomile tea because I didn't know if it was about my mood. So I took everything, and what I can say is that I could feel that, when I took elderberries, I was feeling much better. And then whenever I took something else like echinacea, I was feeling better also. Taking the chamomile tea too. But I could feel that, within maybe an hour, I could feel that the virus was keep on coming back. I just feel that I get away with something bigger. So
Entonces le digo a Elsa que yo también me siento mejor porque yo me enfermé, luego me volví a sentir mal y ahora ya me siento mejor. Y ella dice que igual, o sea que cuando empezó a sentir eso, empezó a tomar todo. Equinacia, gomitas de elderberry, tés de manzanilla, todo, porque no sabía de qué se trataba. Lo más seguro es que haya sido un virus. Entonces ella sabe que con todo lo que hizo, porque empezó a tomar las gomitas de elderberry y se sintió mucho mejor. Entonces ella está segura de que acaba de lograr vencer algo más fuerte. And by the way, I'm gonna tell you that now I go up because I also started taking the elderberry gummies, and seriously, I completely felt it. I have been feeling much better thanks to that. So now I go up for that. Y le digo que también gracias por las gomitas del elderberry porque fue ella quien me las dio y desde que me las empecé a tomar me empecé a sentir mucho mejor. Entonces muchas gracias por eso también. Yeah, for that gift.
Okay, so we found the box, and there's she gave me 3 of these things, which are candle holders. They're I got a light in there. There's those what do they call these? Salt. Salt.
Entonces, ya encontré la caja con el regalito que me dio 3 soportes para velas que se llaman de estas piedras que son de sal de Himalaya, creo.
But then there's this one other box
Pero también está esta otra cajita
that she asked me not to open until today.
que me pidió que no la abriera hasta el día de hoy.
The other night when we were at her place, we seen these. She showed us it. We seen, so she knows that we already are aware of that.
El otro día cuando fuimos a su casa me mostró las velitas de sal, entonces ya sabe que sabemos de qué se trata.
But we're not aware of what this is.
No sabemos qué es.
Doesn't have any.
Just
No
depending on you.
There's no loose pieces moving around in there.
You cannot shake it. It's fragile when you see it. It's been 2 years. I want to give you this because I found it on the internet, and I can when I ordered it the first time 2 years ago, somebody stole the whole box that came in my building with my because in the same invoice I also had ordered my mother's gift, and so this guy took everything.
Dice Elsa que no puede agitar porque es práctico, pero que ya tiene 3 años queriéndole dar ese regalo. La última vez que lo pidió, alguien se lo robó junto con el regalo que había pedido para su mamá, entonces tuvo que volver a pedirlo y ese es el regalo.
Okay, so that's the thing to put the ball on it.
Ooh.
I just want to tell you, it's like remember like in Braille, it's a ball, but if you look, it's the upside down. When you look through the ball, you see the reverse image. So I thought, okay, this will help you make people understand when you talk about the upside down or reverse of things, and also you can use it making beautiful pictures through it.
Entonces,
I
es
know.
regalar porque como ven es la imagen invertida, entonces cree que es una herramienta perfecta para cuando se explica la inversión se pueda ilustrar y aparte de que se pueden hacer fotos bien interesantes con esto.
This is an excellent teaching tool.
Realmente es una herramienta de enseñanza excelente.
So let's try it right now.
Entonces vamos a usarla ahorita.
Okay, I don't know because I can't see the image, but you tell me. Can you see my eyes and my mouth?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I'm looking to my left.
Ahorita estoy viendo para mi izquierda, si pueden ver mi nariz y mis ojos.
Now I'm gonna look to my right.
Y ahora a la derecha,
Up,
Yeah.
arriba,
down,
abajo
all around.
y para el otro.
So yes, you can see right there through this, you can see perfect or get the proper concept of inversion.
Entonces se puede entender el concepto de inversión gracias a esta herramienta.
Yeah, so I would say, yeah, we'll go for this.
Entonces voy a decir, mi agua goa.
This is really gonna help us when we're in the schools with the little children.
Y sobre todo con los chiquines, eso va a ayudar un montón.
Of course, we're gonna have to be careful with it.
Claro que vamos a tener que cuidarla mucho.
Wow, that's really something.
One end, two things. Maybe you will need some cloth, like a cloth you use for glasses. Maybe to because when the kids will touch it, it will become a bit gray because of the prints. We can leave with the hands, but you know, that's one thing. It's not major, but I just wanted to finish with one thing in Europe because that's where it's from. In Europe, they were saying that women that were reading the crystal balls were clairvoyant. And I'm just saying that it's funny because it's as if you're seeing the people that were able to read the upside down were having clear vision.
Entonces Elsa dice, primero, lo que quiero decirte es que a lo mejor te puedes conseguir una especie de pañito para limpiar, porque se van a quedar las huellas digitales, sobre todo si los niños lo tocan, entonces se va a volver como gris, entonces para limpiarlo. Pero segundo, lo importante del significado de una bola de cristal como tal es que en la época de la Inquisición, en la que las iglesias mataron a todas las mujeres bajo pretexto de que eran brujas, lo hacían, por ejemplo, diciendo que las mujeres utilizaban las bolas de cristal para hacer brujería y hechizos, siendo que justamente las bolas de cristal permiten ver la inversión, entonces permiten que las cosas se perciban de una forma mucho más clara.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this is a tool. It's a valuable tool that we can use in the teachings, you know, like when we talk about inversion, it's going to be crucial when in the moon teachings.
Entonces es una herramienta para hablar de la inversión, cuando se habla, por ejemplo, de las enseñanzas de la luna.
It's something that, you know, we're always talking about. We're always giving the examples about inversion.
Sabemos que siempre estamos dando esos ejemplos de la inversión,
But this is something that I never thought about,
pero esto es algo en lo que nunca pensé.
never considered that this would be a perfect teaching tool to exemplify inversion.
Nunca consideré que este sería un ejemplo perfecto para mostrar la inversión.
So, yeah, and now we'll go. This isn't just a gift, say, that you would give to somebody. This is a gift that is actually given to the world then.
Entonces no es un regalo que se le da a un individuo, sino al mundo.
It is literally the gift of vision.
Es el regalo de la visión,
So we can have a good vision with this now.
para tener una buena visión con ella.
All right, now we'll go, Elsa. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it. We're down to just us now anyways, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else is there?
No.
If we keep going for another 5 minutes, I bet you Pablo's gonna show up.
Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you that, or I guess I did, but you maybe were not listening. His dad,
His father.
he passed away 3 or 4 days away. Anyways, he passed away last week. He's a very known intellectual in so-called Mexico. So he was 101 years old.
Wow.
And I sent him an email giving our condolences to him and his son, but his email rebounds, but his son at least got it. So, yeah. Nada más para informar a todo el mundo que Pablo, nuestro amigo que trabaja con los diccionarios, su papá falleció esta semana pasada. Es Pablo González Casanova, que lo conoce en México los intelectuales, tenía 101 años, falleció y le mandé un correo dándole nuestras condolencias a él y a su hijo. Su correo de Pablo nos rebotó, pero su hijo lo recibió, entonces eso es la noticia.
Okay, so then this is the thing we should have opened with first today.
Entonces debimos de haber abierto con eso primero hoy.
So we pay our respects and our honors to our friend Pablo. I don't even know Pablo's last name.
Well, it's the same as his father, González Casanova.
González.
But I
Yeah.
think he's Enriquez actually, because it's his mom. Yeah, anyway.
So I do know his last name, Pablo Casanova.
Mhm.
González Casanova. Okay, so just to send our respects and our love to Pablo, losing a father at 101. My goodness. Well, he's very lucky that he had his father that long.
Y bueno, el hecho de que su papá haya fallecido a los 101 años de edad es muy afortunado de que haya tenido a su papá hasta esa edad. And he was in the National University, like a very known person, he was a teacher, but also he got really involved with the Zapatista movement. So he was very often with the natives, and he comprehended, that there was some kind of injustice as to the way the natives were being treated, and he was supporting that movement because of that. So that's also something that is a characteristic of his journey in this world. Y también para decir que aparte de ser un maestro de la UNAM, que es una de las universidades de México públicas, él también se interesó mucho por la causa nativa, entonces por eso también apoyó al movimiento zapatista, porque él percibía claramente que había una gran injusticia en la forma en la que los indígenas nativos eran tratados, entonces él dedicó su energía a eso también y por eso es reconocido.
So there must be a lot of our sisters and brothers within the original peoples in the South that know of him, that are affected, and who are probably given their respects also.
Entonces debe de haber varias hermanas, hermanos de los pueblos originarios allá en el sur que también han sido afectados por su partida y que también están dando sus honores y su respeto.
So even if Pablo isn't here,
Entonces, a pesar de que Pablo no esté aquí,
this really doesn't matter. We know Pablo. We have known him for some time now. We've worked with him. We respect the work that he is doing. He is doing great work in as far as the languages, returning the languages goes.
eso no importa porque conocemos a Pablo, and actually it was Valentina's father that put us in touch with him. Lo conocemos por el trabajo que hace de traer de vuelta los lenguajes originarios, de rescatarlos, de promoverlos con sus diccionarios. Le digo a Stuart que de hecho fue el papá de Valentina, quien era amigo de él, y fue gracias a ellos que entramos en contacto con Pablo.
Yeah, okay, we can see that we're not actually giving the proper amount of focus or proper amount of respect and attention to this.
Entonces, tal vez hasta ahora nos damos cuenta que no estamos dándole el respeto y la atención necesaria a su fallecimiento.
Like I said, we should have began with this and we should have had a more way to give homage.
Y como dije, debimos de haber hablado de esto desde el inicio y habríamos tenido que haber hecho un homenaje mucho más grande, más representativo.
Yeah, this way we'll learn and we'll expand our humanity together.
Y de esta forma vamos a aprender para poder aumentar nuestra humanidad
So-
colectivamente.
Just, do we know his father's name?
Pablo González Casanova.
Oh, it's the same name. Oh, Pablo and Pablo Jr., just like me, Stuart and Stuart Jr.
Entonces, esto me pregunta cuál es el nombre exacto de su papá. Le digo Pablo González Casanova, que es el mismo de su hijo, como él, su papá era Stuart Mayo Sr. y él es Junior.
So we can then easily deduce that the path and all the good work that Pablo is doing in his life is a carryover from his father's work.
Entonces podemos muy fácilmente deducir que el buen trabajo que Pablo está haciendo en el mundo es un derivado directo de su papá.
What a way for a son to honor their father, to continue within their father's work.
Qué forma para un hijo de honrar a su padre que el de continuar su trabajo.
That reveals to us a continuum.
Eso nos revela una continuidad.
Yeah, it's just too bad that not everybody is working from within a continuum.
Solamente es una lástima que la mayoría de la gente ya no trabaja con esta continuidad.
Okay, yeah, so we honor all the work that he has done as a teacher to help and assist, and like what you heard Edith identify, that he did make his connections within the original peoples.
Entonces honramos el trabajo que hizo como maestro y también por el trabajo que hizo para conectar con los pueblos originarios.
So he is a very crucial player.
Entonces fue un jugador clave.
No matter where you are throughout Turtle Island, whoever is there working with or assisting or standing as the original people in any way, and these people play a very crucial role in the healing of our Mother Earth in every aspect of our humanity.
Sin importar quién sea, quien vaya a hacer esas conexiones con los pueblos originarios, va a jugar un papel bien importante en la reconexión hacia nuestra humanidad.
So we celebrate them.
Entonces lo celebramos.
And it's very fitting that today, the way everything went, this is a very loving day. It's like we had a love-in today.
Y es muy correspondiente que el día que hoy hemos tenido, que fue como lleno de amor, es un día de amor.
We almost feel like a bunch of hippies.
Nos sentimos como una bola de hippies, dices tú.
So it's very fitting at the end of all of this love today that we remember Pablo González Casanova Sr. For all the work that he has done, and just to be a person who has lived to be 101. What an effort. What a energy he must have within himself.
Y el hecho de que estamos honrando a Pablo González Casanova Sr., que ya falleció, y bueno, el hecho de que haya vivido hasta 101 años indica la cantidad de energía que tenía detrás de él.
So to Pablo Jr., even though he isn't here,
Y a Pablo, su hijo, a pesar de que no esté aquí ahorita,
we acknowledge the power, the strength that your father has carried into this world and how he has embedded this within you.
reconocemos el poder y el trabajo que tu papá puso en este mundo y reconocemos cómo ha sido transmitido hacia ti.
And that this is the true work of all humans, to evolve, to teach, to share, to maintain continuum.
Y que este es el verdadero trabajo de la humanidad, de los humanos, el de poder aprender, enseñar, transmitir y de perpetuar la continuidad.
What a great legacy he leaves to his son.
Y qué gran legado le deja a su hijo.
This is really something to be proud of, to respect.
Es algo de lo cual hay que estar orgulloso y honrar con respeto.
So we think of over the last couple of years, all of the time, the interaction, the work that we've done with Pablo
Y
Jr.
cuando pensamos en los últimos años, el trabajo, los intercambios que hemos tenido con Pablo, su hijo,
We can say, anyone could look at it, and if you assessed each time we were together, you might say, what work? He didn't do anything.
Y si la gente lo ve desde afuera va a decir, bueno, ¿y qué trabajo hicieron si no han hecho nada?
The communication is in line with everything that was said today that actually reinforces and makes stronger and completes everything that is transpired right in front of your eyes here today.
Pero la comunicación está en línea directa con todo lo que ha ocurrido el día de hoy.
Yeah, so now we'll go to the energy, the power, the strength that Pablo Gonzalez Casanova Sr. has put into the world and let his son, Pablo Gonzalez Casanova Jr., to follow in his legacy. This is great work. We give thanks for it.
Entonces honramos a la memoria de el ya fallecido Pablo González Casanova por su vida, su obra, su trayectoria, su amor, que va a perpetuarse en su vida.
Okay, well, since there's nobody, we waited 5 more minutes and he didn't show up. Usually it works that way. But we're gonna close now.
Y bueno, esperamos 5 minutos más porque a veces se nos conecta Pablo al final, pero no nos ocurrió esto ahorita, entonces bueno, vamos a cerrar.
If you've been with us in the past, you may say, well, today was not like other Reconstitution Zooms, like maybe there's 4 or 5 different voices that we're speaking with and it's all knowledge and information, you know.
Y si han estado con nosotros en los procesos de reconstitución, tal vez vean que hoy no es igual que el resto, cuando tenemos, no sé, 4 o 5 personas que hablan y todo el mundo aporta un montón de conocimiento.
Well, today was all about love, and that is knowledge and information.
Hoy fue todo acerca del amor y ese es el conocimiento más importante.
And so we end up perpetuating this love for those who have passed by sharing our love and our energy to our good friend, Pablo Gonzalez Casanova Jr., who just lost his father, Pablo Gonzalez Casanova Sr., who was 101 years old. Our hearts and minds are with you. We are thinking of you. And through all the love that we experience today, we keep you in this ball of love so that you don't fall into like the darkness of losing a loved one, where you stay in a darkness, that the sunlight will shine upon you again tomorrow, the clouds will clear, the sun will be there, and again, life will have to be lived, and you will have to walk through this world with the knowledge and wisdom that your father has handed down to you. So it is a great thing. It is not a sad thing.
Entonces a Pablo le decimos que honramos a su papá, Pablo González Casanova, que acaba de fallecer a los 101 años, y le decimos que está con nosotros, que pensamos en él y que en una época en la que la gente puede perder a alguien y que se puede llenar de oscuridad y no salir de ahí, les decimos que no, que en su caso, que la luz del sol vuelva a brillar sobre sus ojos, que cualquier oscuridad se desaparezca, se desvanezca, que estamos pensando en él y le estamos enviando el más grande amor y que le agradecemos por la continuidad que va a seguir haciendo del buen trabajo de su padre.
Yeah, so now we'll go, everybody. We're just gonna do the closing now.
Entonces, gracias a todas y todos y vamos a cerrar. Wagatsanuni, Agüeco, Kunungwe, Dano Runungwe, Skatne, Agwex, Dano, Condor, Katsanhaya. We are happy that we had this council between the Condor and the Eagle and that the life givers and the life protectors could came to it. Estamos bien contentos que pudimos tener este consejo entre el Cóndor y el Águila y que las dadoras de vida y los protectores de vida pudieron venir a él. Teitinuarato Kanumuekan Yageso, Yankistata, Sintaneka Garaqua, Yankistani, Honsaget, and Maguets, Pundum Hetzelatawet, Taranawago, Sawiskara, Tini Peñataragero, Dano Aguego, Onuquasu, Dano Agua Quatre. We give thanks to Sky Woman, our Grandma Moon, that yesterday was shining and smiling, very beautiful, to our Mama Earth, and to all of the life givers in all of their shapes and forms, to all of the waters, all of the medicines, and all of our relations in good spirit. Le agradecemos a la mujer cielo, a nuestra abuelita luna, que ayer estaba así, sonriendo, bien delgadita, también a nuestra mami tierra, a todas las dadoras de vida, a todas las aguas, todas las medicinas y todas nuestras relaciones en buen espíritu. Yadiñato, Yanastayuni, Yadiscarawage, Jaconcisi de Ganawida, Huevo Dione, Rodione, Neyohajio, Gani Gorillo, Tando Gayandowana, Tayanara Saragoa, Denli de Yohade, Ayuntia Tayan Hadandawan, Hetsera Neganan Quatseruana, Orihuillo, Stana, Gasastansera, Dano Caribo Warishansera, Gasastansera Negonungwe, Gayandawana, Gasastansera Gunungwe, Dano Aweka Watsire, Aweka Sanfaya, Watawi. We give thanks to the three spirit of the clans, Cyril, Wolf, and Bear, and all of the universal clans to come back to us. We also give thanks to all of the female and male chiefs that walked on the path of peace, that gave us the gift of the great law of peace and the true wampum. And we ask them to assist us in bringing back the great law, truth, peace, power, and righteousness back to the people, so that the life givers in balance with the life protectors can make that our councils come back, so that we are able to find solution to the challenges that we are facing. Agradecemos a los clanes originales de los pueblos y les pedimos que nos ayuden, que vuelvan. También le agradecemos a las mujeres y los hombres que caminaron en el camino de la paz, del pasado, el presente y el futuro, y les pedimos que nos ayuden para hacer que el gran amor, la verdad, la paz, el espíritu de nuestros ancestros y el buen camino vuelva a nosotros, para que en equilibrio la fuerza de las dadoras de vida con los protectores de vida seamos capaces de hacer que nuestros consejos revivan, para que podamos encontrar solución a los desafíos a los cuales hacemos frente. Y si hay un obstáculo a esto, lo empujamos en nuestros niveles de la existencia. And if there's any obstacle to that, we push it away on the three levels of the existence. Nogatena Yodaksa, eres out, eres out, eres out.
Yeah. Nyawagoa, everybody. If you stayed with us right to the end, Nyawagoa. Danzi Jadaka.